good morning. Although, I don't mean it. That's not true. It is a good morning, but I'll tell you more about that in a second. I realize that for most of us, it's a particularly unpleasant morning. This ranks very high on the list. I would say for young people, if I ranked Sunday scaries during the year, I think everybody would say, well, it was obviously the Sunday scaries before you go back to school were the worst. But I disagree with that. I disagree because you're not in the throes yet of, like, schoolwork and studying. And like, the first day of school is always kind of a, pissed away type of situation. You're kind of happy to see your friends. Like, I disagree that, like, this is like people that just think that, like, people without the ability to process, that just want to say the first answer that comes to their mind, like everything is the final round of Family Feud, think that the greatest cookie known to man is just chocolate chip cookie. They just say that. Like, they regurgitate it because it's cookies. We think it's chocolate chip. Chocolate chip cookies are fine.
Certainly going to be up there.
Similar to, like, saying that pumpkin pie is the best fall pie. It's fine. There are just far superior ones. And if you asked what's the worst Sunday scaries of the year, immediately everybody would say, well, it was the Sunday before you had to go back to school. But that's not true. At that point, you were like, okay, I'm good. I would like to see my friends a little bit more. And I don't really have to worry. It's not like we're going to have a huge project tomorrow or anything like that. You hadn't forgotten to study over the weekend and it hit you on Sunday night while you were laying in bed like, oh, crap, we got a presentation due tomorrow. No. And also, for most of us, although I don't know, depending on where you were, like for a lot of my life, it wasn't even Sunday. You went back the day after Labor Day. So, like, you didn't even have Sunday scaries because you had another day off the next day. Worst Sunday scaries of the year, to me, were always this weekend, this past weekend.
I thought you were just going to say anytime the Ravens lost.
That sucks. But it's not, no. Worst Sunday scaries of the year were Thanksgiving weekend. Because for, like, those 4 days, you forget the world exists. You're just watching sports and eating food for 4 days. It's amazing. It's everything that you want in life. And then all of a sudden, the 60 Minutes preview hits, and you're like, oh, crap. We got to go back to the world tomorrow. We got to do that. It sucks. So today sucks. It sucks. I get it. It sucks. The Ravens lost. Nobody's happy. In this business, and what we do, particularly bad. Particularly bad. Because now we're sitting on it for 2 weeks. And it feels purgatorial. Because it's not just a loss, it's losing 2 out of your last 3. It's being kind of middle of the road at the bye. It's in bad cities where they're just bad. They're talking about their next coach. They're talking about their next quarterback. They're talking about those types of topics. In cities where the team is extraordinary, they hit the bye. Who are the other byes this week? I don't even remember.
Everyone, I believe, actually.
So
the Texans are on bye. The Commanders are on bye.
Who?
Commanders.
Are there any other really good teams on bye, or do they already get all their byes?
I want to say, I don't know. I mean, there's 6 teams on byes. I just can't remember who the...
If you were, say, in Buffalo and going on bye this week, which they're not, but if you were, you'd be celebratory.
Denver, New England, and Indy.
Yeah, nobody's. The Ravens are obviously the best team of that group, but that's not saying a lot. That's a low bar.
Well, they have the same record as the Texans right now.
That's great. I've watched the Texans. The Ravens are better. That doesn't guarantee they're going to beat them. They're better.
Jags got 2 garbage time touchdowns, made the score closer.
And it's all well and good. I watched some of that game. The Texans weren't impressive.
They won the game.
Yeah.
The Ravens do that?
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point. It's purgatorial is what it is. It's this, like, is anything happening here? The biggest talking point is the kicker. Not exactly compelling. In sports radio, this is as bad as it gets. We needed yesterday to go the other way so that everybody would be lifted by it, so that there would be some Ravens fever. Hey, they're coming off a win over the Eagles. Like, Things are going well. They get a bye. They're going to feel good coming out of tough times. We're going to do our best to break it all down. We're going to do our best to take stock and be realistic about where the team is sitting at the bye. We're going to do our best. We're going to talk about Justin Tucker, obviously. Jay Feely is going to join us. Last time we talked to him about it, he was like, what are you guys worried about? I can't imagine the answer is the same today, but we'll find out. We'll talk about that. But we're not going to pretend like it was just. That's the bit that I'm not going to do, is pretend like it's one thing. Yes, Justin Tucker's probably the worst of it at the moment, but there's a lot of other problems, and there are reasons why none of us are feeling good about the Ravens' chances of winning the Super Bowl today. Doesn't mean they can't. They're not playing the Super Bowl today, to my knowledge. Although that would be a good way to help us get over those Sunday scaries from the weekend.
Just have a Super Bowl?
I'd be all for it. Although then there wouldn't be any more football. Take it back. Don't want that.
What if we just do a Super Bowl every week?
Now, we might be onto something. Let's talk more about that. File that one away. We'll discuss it later. It sucks, man. It sucks. Project Game Day wasn't pleasant. How could it be? We all watched the same game. The Ravens scored 3 points after the first quarter. How could it be pleasant? Obviously, we'll have a bye week for Project Game Day. We'll be back after the Giants game 2 Sundays. The whole crew, myself, Rita, Femi, KZ, Stecca, everybody. PressBoxOnline.com/GameDay. All brought to you by Easy Pass and Hartford Holidays and 1-800-GAMBLER. Appreciate them making it possible. If you missed yesterday's show and you just want something to scream about, then when this show ends, you can go watch or listen to that, and it'll get your blood boiling. It's what it is, man. I mentioned Jay Feely will join us. Brandon Noble is going to join us this morning. He was on the call for Compass Media yesterday for Ravens Eagles. We'll get his thoughts on what he saw. My column at Pressbox is going to be about Justin Tucker because it's the 10,000-pound gorilla. It's the thing that it feels like something could have. Like, you're not going to. Let's pull the curtain back for a second. If your problem is, for example, that the Ravens' offensive line wasn't very good yesterday, you're right. That can't change. Is everything good over there, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay. Got to remember that we can't do that during the show. All right. Engaged. Just going to add to all the issues. If your problem is the Ravens' offensive line isn't very good, I understand. But that's not going to get fixed this week. It's not going to get fixed next week. You can't bring in new players during week 14 of an NFL season. Not players that you're going to go win a Super Bowl with. I mean, I guess you could for the sake of it. You could just call somebody who's sitting on the street. The players are who they are. If your problem is that, the defense was better but didn't really make big plays yesterday, you're right. That's probably about as good as it's going to get. This kind of is what it is. If anything, the performance of the defense the last 3 weeks has been encouraging. If you could get that, with the Ravens offense clicking the way that for the most of the season it's been clicking, then you'd feel really good. The problem is the defense improved, and offensively the Ravens have had two of their two worst games. Definitively, their 2 worst games in their last 3 weeks. Which kind of goes back to what I was saying about why, as panicked as we were about the defense, the answer really to me was, could you keep this up offensively? And why, when everybody was saying in those Would You Rather Wednesday scenarios, I'll take the defense, I would say no. Give me all of the points. Because that's predictive. The Justin Tucker thing is it's everything, right? It's the emotions that you feel about it being Justin Tucker. It's the people that are pissed off that fans are booing Justin Tucker because he deserves better than that. It's but there aren't good options available. There is no correct answer. No matter how hard you want to oversimplify this, because yelling on the internet is fun, there is no correct answer. None. There's no, here's what you do in this situation. Here's the roadmap for how you handle it. Here's how you fix it. It does not exist. No one take rules out on any other take. You have an opinion, and I get that. Everybody's got an opinion. Opinions assholes, the whole thing. But the thing where you want your opinion to suddenly be overruling. My opinion is they should cut him. So if they don't, they're not serious. With all due respect, you're an effing idiot. Again, you can say that because I said with all due respect.
Oh, yeah. Good job.
Yeah. It's important. Which doesn't mean it might not ultimately be the answer. It's just pretending that it's black and white or binary or anything along those lines. I get it. I do this during Would You Rather Wednesday. I make things binary, and then you're like, I don't like that because it's a game. This isn't a game. This is a team still trying to win a Super Bowl. There's no individual correct answer. And when we default to, I don't think there are good options available, the flip side of that is this dude might really cost you a Super Bowl. And while we can be dismissive and say, well, yesterday wasn't the Super Bowl, and probably you're right, but could it ultimately be the difference in why it is that you are on the road to open up the playoffs? Of course. Of course it could. And I'm not saying it's impossible for this team to go win in Houston, but if it's you going to play in Pittsburgh, how good are we feeling about that? How's that gone over the years?
Well, Anthony Brown got a win in Pittsburgh that one time.
That's a great point.
So
That's a great point.
Give him a call.
Just bring him back. Solves all the problems. It's over. You got it. Which, again, isn't saying they couldn't go win there. It's that to dismiss and suggest that any of these other things don't. All of the games matter. All of the results matter. All of the moments matter. And this could be the reason why they lose that playoff game in Pittsburgh. But no one take is correct. John Harbaugh said after the game yesterday that right now he doesn't see them moving on from Justin Tucker. As I said before, even if that was in the cards, John Harbaugh wouldn't say it in a post-game press conference. Now, perhaps you would argue that if it was something they were seriously thinking about, he might have said something like, well, we got to take a look at everything. But the moment he does that, he's creating a controversy. The moment he says anything other than Justin Tucker is our kicker, it's all anybody's talking about. After Billy Cundiff missed a kick in New England, the Ravens said Billy Cundiff is our kicker while they were looking for another kicker. I know because I happened to catch John Harbaugh in the trap at the Combine that year. I've told that story a few times where he was like, well, let's just say hypothetically we were working out kickers. And I was like, were you working out kickers?
Hypothetically, yeah.
I mean, he didn't say hypothetically. He actually said, we had the kickers up for visits last night. And I said, John, that sounds like news. You were visiting with kickers. Well, no, I meant like hypothetically.
It was a good save.
Caught him in that moment. I was like, the Ravens are looking at...
He said you hypothetically.
We still didn't guarantee that they were going to move on from Billy Cundiff. It just meant that they were considering the possibility. But he didn't say that publicly. He didn't come out and say, we're going to look at kickers. Publicly, he said Billy Cundiff's our kicker because it might be Billy Cundiff. And because what he didn't want to do is say, we don't trust the guy. Now, clearly, they didn't, and that's the reason why Justin Tucker exists. Well, it's not the reason he exists. It's the reason why he's the Ravens kicker. You get the point. John Harbaugh's not going to come out and say, we're going to start looking at other kickers. Because what they know is the side of this that is very difficult, which is there aren't good kickers available. We know that because there aren't good kickers in the NFL. Right now, NFL kickers are kicking at a 83.2% clip for the season. If it stays at that level, which almost certainly won't, because kicking always gets worse as the weather gets colder. But even if it stays at that level, since 2012, it will be the second worst kicking season in the NFL. Now, some of that probably has to do with Justin Tucker. Let's be fair. Most years he wasn't sitting at 70%. He's bringing down the average. I actually did the math. If not for Justin Tucker, kickers would be at an 84% clip, which wouldn't be great, but would be better. 83.2%. There is a kicking problem in the NFL that no matter how many times a color analyst on a football game says, boy, I mean, all these kickers, they just make 60-yard kicks, because they stopped paying attention after some narratives that were written 2 weeks into the year and didn't notice that all of the kicking is awful. Awful. Other than Chris Boswell, there was somebody else that we decided was good.
Bates-ish.
Bates is pretty good. Pretty good.
Aubrey's been okay.
Aubrey's good at long kicks, and then he'll just doink a 40-yarder.
He just stops focusing.
In 2024 NFL, he's a good kicker.
Yeah.
But he ain't. And who's the guy in Tampa? McLaughlin. We were like, yeah, he's again. In
then he missed a kick, I think, while we were talking, didn't he?
Did he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I think he missed a kick last night.
2024 NFL standards, he's one of the better ones. There is an epidemic in kicking. And we try to convince ourselves you can just pull somebody off the street and they could be a league average kicker. And that's not true. Zane Gonzalez made a couple of kicks for the Commanders, and they were like, well, see, this is proof. And then he turned around and missed his next 2 kicks yesterday. Because that's what's available. That's what's out there. Now, it's easy to say, well, you don't have to even be a league average kicker. Right now, you could still be a below league average kicker and be better than Justin Tucker. And that would be true. But now it's the question of, is this definitively what Justin Tucker is? And we start doing the math. Is he washed? Well, how could he be washed? He's not 40. He's not 42. He's 35. He certainly still has the leg. So when we say he's washed or he's done, I hear you. And again, if the context was you can have him or Chris Boswell, you'd take, my God, give me Chris Boswell. But it's not. The context is the Ravens have to figure out, is this definitively what Justin Tucker is? Or, like so many of the people that I have talked to about this subject, is it just when a kicker is dealing with this, if they are talented enough, it'll just snap, and it'll just be figured out. And it'll just go back to being a great kicker again. I don't know. I don't know. And the Ravens don't know. And you don't know. That's the problem. When we all yell and scream about these things, none of us have a clue. And I'm beyond empathetic. I would be terrified to have to be the one making this decision. Putting my Super Bowl hopes on a guy that's kicking at 70% right now, or getting rid of the greatest kicker of all time in favor of some guy. Riley Patterson, for example, who maybe the Falcons will just elevate and get rid of Younghoe Koo because Younghoe Koo's the second worst kicker in the NFL at the moment, who we all thought was one of the good ones. It ain't easy. There ain't a simple answer. That's why we're all looking for in-betweens. It's why I struggle with the binary. I struggle with that. I don't feel like that there's got to be a third option. I've talked about the practice squad thing for weeks. I'm in favor of it. I don't think the in-week kicking competition is the answer. What is that going to tell you? How are you going to learn kicking in a field house that definitively, I don't even know who's next, Cade York is a better option for you to win a game in Pittsburgh in January than Justin Tucker is going to be? How? Everybody keeps saying there's got to be competition. There's got to be competition. That doesn't do a ton for me personally. But that's my opinion. I don't have the correct answer either. None of us do. And yeah, it'd be easy to say, well, if it wasn't Justin Tucker, you'd just get rid of him. If it was somebody else, you would. Yes, of course. But that is part of this. The best case scenario is that Justin Tucker is some semblance of Justin Tucker, because the likelihood that the guy you're pulling off the street is any semblance of prime Justin Tucker is nonsense. This is impossibly difficult. And pretending like it's just easy, pretending like there is some simple solution is just us wanting to spit things out on the internet for the sake of spitting things out on the internet. And it also ignores all the other issues. Griffin, what's going on at Live Casino and Hotel?
You know what's going on. You are getting $7 in free slot play every time a touchdown is scored during home games for Baltimore or Washington. Hopefully you did make a day out of it yesterday, because Washington had up their end of the bargain. They scored some touchdowns. Live Rewards members are getting $7 in free slot play. You have to have your Live Rewards card inserted correctly into the slot machine, and once those touchdowns score, you will get your $7 in free slot play. Add Ronald Mills must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right. Look, man, we're going to talk about it all throughout the course of the morning, all throughout the course of the next 2 weeks. That's what we got going for us. Hey, dear Orioles, if there was ever a time to sign a free agent, please, this week. Thanks, your pal Glenn. Our first guest today, he was on the call for Compass yesterday here in Baltimore as the Ravens fell to the Eagles. It's a pleasure to welcome back into the program Brandon Noble, who is with us now here on GCR. Brandon, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Yeah, no worries, man. I appreciate you guys having me back on. And it's been a while since I've done a Ravens game, so I was looking forward to being on the show.
Well, unfortunately, based on the result of yesterday, we're going to need it to be a lot longer.
I feel like I feel like that this is a theme. It may be me,
I think
man.
We've said
it may be me. Yeah. So
I think we've said that.
Maybe Harbaugh needs to figure out a way to keep me out of M&T Stadium.
Might have something to do with it. Man, I don't know. Brandon, I want to go layer by layer with this, and I'm going to start with, as a teammate, like, let's go, because I'm sure, and I apologize for not knowing who your kickers were, but I'm sure that you played with a kicker or two that wasn't performing all that well.
Mm-hmm.
What does it do to a team? Like, can you take me inside the locker room? Because all of the guys are going to say all of the right things because they've been trained up in media and they know better at this point. But, like, we all get out of the locker room, the doors all close. What does this actually look like for a team? What's going on right now with Justin Tucker?
Well, I think this is a unique situation, right? So, again, from my own experience, I never had a kicker like Justin Tucker. I played with some good ones. John Hall, who was a really good kicker in the NFL for a while, and in Dallas we kind of had this rotation of kickers, but like quarterbacks, and so they weren't. It's a challenge because with a guy like Justin Tucker, you are so used to him. It's 3 points, right? It's 3 points. It's 3 points. And then all of a sudden, when it's not happening, you start to go home. Like, all right, like this guy only has one job. And I think that's the initial thought right now. Again, this is where it's a little different with a guy like Justin Tucker. because Justin Tucker is as good as anyone to ever do it, if not better. And he definitely has something going on right now. Those those kicks yesterday, a couple of them were from, one was from 53 yards, not an easy kick, but one that we're used to him making. But it's a challenge, right? Because you need that to be one of those things where it's automatic, because it gives you some sort of completion to the drive, right? You get the points. Yeah, it didn't end up the way that you wanted, but you get that little consolation prize, right? The candy bar or whatever it is that makes you feel a little better about where you are.
I wonder. Is there an answer, Brand? I keep coming back to this, right? Like, is there an answer? Because undoubtedly this is complicated, and this is conflicting for the Ravens, and it's conflicting for majority of Ravens fans, although a lot of people are at the point of, hey, love you, but it's costing games, it's time. Is there an answer for how you handle something like this?
Well, I think, look, talking about last night's game, the answer is score touchdowns, right?
Yeah,
like the Ravens haven't scored a touchdown in the last 8 drives. Like that's the answer, is stop putting it on the kicker. But like the other side of it is, you as an organization, you do have to decide, like at any other position, right, when is it time to turn the page? And if there's one thing about kickers, this may sound crazy, is there's a lot of them, right? Because there's only 32 teams, right? So there are good kickers that are out there on the market right now that might be able to come in and be more consistent than Justin Tucker. Now, again, that's almost blasphemous, right? You know what I mean? Again, like I had a tough time on the broadcast last night, even just talking about that thought, because he is so good, but he is struggling right now. And you saw Harbaugh go give him a hug, and you hope that he can work himself out of it, but at what cost? You know what I mean? And that's what you have to figure out as an organization, right? You have to figure that out. You look at a guy like Adam Vinatieri, right? He went to a couple different teams, and he's a Hall of Fame kicker, So, and Justin Tucker's the same way, the best to ever do it. But at the same time, it's about winning football games right now, and he didn't help last night. There's no doubt about that.
No, and he's kicking to 70%. That is the easiest thing to say. Is that is sure as hell not good enough. Brandon Noble is
and you're right, and even that statement right there, right? Justin Tucker 70%, right?
Yeah.
That sounds so odd and so weird, but it is a results-based business, and that's where he is. You're exactly right.
Brandon Noble with us here on GCR after he was in Baltimore yesterday. Brandon, on the whole, do you think yesterday's game told us more about the Eagles or about the Ravens?
I think more about the Eagles. I think there were some question marks about who the Eagles were and if they were for real. I think when you look at the NFC right now, the Lions are the team that you go, man, like you see what they do. They've done it consistently. There's not a lot of ups and downs. The Eagles had a rough start and have turned into this team that they are right now. And I think for me, watching them play defense against that Ravens offense, I believe in their defense way more than I did before now. And I live in the Philadelphia area. I'm not an Eagles fan. I played for the Redskins, the Commanders, whatever you want to call them now, and the Cowboys, right? So I'm the furthest thing from a homer when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles. But, I think that what they did last night makes you go, that's a team that can challenge Detroit in an NFC championship game and be in the Super Bowl. And because of the way the defense handled Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, and that offense, that really, really explosive offense over the course of 60 minutes.
Is that – so I think the biggest concern, besides Justin Tucker, that comes out of yesterday's game is that a Ravens offensive line that struggled early in the year but seemed to get things figured out was just absolutely dominated yesterday. And I think the question is that unique to the challenge of the Eagles front, or have they maybe been getting away with an offensive line? Like, we know that how much they changed dramatically this offensive line in the offseason. Was some of that struggle just being masked by the greatness of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, and this was always going to be a problem and perhaps a fatal flaw for this football team?
Well, I think that's an interesting question and a great point. Like they were really tested for real last night, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we went into that game and thought that was a real potential Super Bowl matchup. Both of those teams could be in the Super Bowl. I have I can see that and say it with confidence. Doesn't mean it will happen, but I believe it. And I think that front seven, especially for the Eagles, going back to what we were talking about a minute ago, has gotten so much better after the bye. And so I think that it was a big test. And I think the other thing is I'm going to put a little bit of it on Todd Monken, right? Like, I think that there was a little bit of that. Like, he got away. I went and looked at the stats, and they ran Henry and they ran the ball, but, like, they didn't really, like, lean into it. And that, to me, is the big difference is, like, that offensive line, once they started throwing the ball, Jalen Carter wrecked the interior three. Like, you know, I mean, absolutely. And now I think Jalen Carter is the best defensive tackle in the NFL right now. And so that there is that. But at the same time, like, Fangio didn't have to blitz unless he wanted to. And Jalen Carter collapsed the pocket in front of Jackson over and over and over. And especially at the end in the fourth quarter, he got better. And I think that that's because the Ravens got away from the run when they didn't need to. And because they never were so far out of the game that I felt like they had to completely abandon it. And I know that, and this is where I'm having a tough time with it, is because I know that they ran the ball.
Right.
But there was a drive, right, where they started, I believe it was in the fourth quarter, they started down on their 2-yard line coming out. And they ran the ball 2 times and got 8 yards. They went 4 yards with Henry, 4 yards with Henry. So now they're out. It's 3rd and 2. They get the first down, and they throw the ball every single snap.
Yep.
Right? And it's just like that's not how they're going to win football games, right? Like, they are so explosive and so incredible when the threat of the run and the pass is there, and they got away from it when they didn't need to last night. And that, to me, is the biggest concern, right? It goes back to that AFC Championship game. Like, you got to know who you are. You brought Derrick Henry in here for a reason, and your offensive line isn't great. They're not the Eagles' O-line. The Eagles have a ridiculous O-line. They're second only maybe to the Lions right now. And so, like, you've got to help those guys by giving the ball to Derrick Henry, who is an offensive lineman running the ball on his own, right? You know what I mean? So I think, though, that they got exposed in pass protection, definitely. So which makes you go, if they get behind in a game in the playoffs and they're playing the Chiefs and you got Chris Jones in there, they're going to put him in there over those guards and just say, go get him. You know what I mean? And that to me would be the concern for the Ravens.
I think it's a serious concern. I want to present this to you, too, about the offense. I'll give you 2 diverging opinions. I am eternally someone that believes Lamar Jackson needs to run and run more, and that the notion of Lamar Jackson running being a bad thing is utterly insane, and he has not gotten hurt running the ball. His injuries have been in the pocket. He is too good at it. He knows when hits are coming. He gets down. He gets out of bounds, or he gets behind you and you can't catch him. We learned after the game last night that Lamar Jackson's mom doesn't think that he's running enough, and apparently cussed him out about how many lanes there were. I have one of our other shows. One of my co-hosts is former Super Bowl champion Femi Aiyemade of the Ravens, and Femi's point is, Lamar Jackson has to make decisions thinking about how long his career is going to be, and that the wear and tear, not of big hits, but just the totality of hits, is going to catch up to him, and he can't just be doing this every game. Where are you with what feels like it's been a theme the last couple of seasons? As good as Lamar is as a passer, and he's outstanding, it's felt like he's almost neutered part of what makes him one of one and one of the greatest talents we've ever seen in the sport. I get that there is more to it than just he's got to run on every play. I understand that can't be the case, but it really does feel like Lamar's mom might have a point.
I think Lamar's mom knows what she's talking about. I agree. I think that, look, one of the hardest things about playing Lamar is that you can do everything right? You can be in great coverage on the back end. You can rush the passer with 4 or send a pressure and squeeze the pocket. And we saw it last night. And he's still going to get out on you, right? And then he does have the great ability to keep his eyes downfield and push the ball downfield, and we saw that a couple times last night. We also saw a couple times last night where he pulled the ball down and ran and got a lot of yards. And I think that that's what makes him so hard to defend. That's what made Mike Vick so hard to handle when I was playing football. Donovan McNabb, right, was the ability, because that is soul-crushing as a defense. especially on third down when you've done everything right, and all of a sudden he just squeaks out of the pocket, and you don't have to go 80, right? Just get the first, right? Move the sticks, and look, man, no one hits quarterbacks anymore anyways. I know Trevor Lawrence got decapitated yesterday, right? But that's an anomaly, and so I think the argument of he's going to get hit just as much in the pocket as he is running down the field, right? Watch Pat Mahomes, he's a master at getting to the sideline and eking out 5 more yards because everybody's terrified to hit him because it's going to cost him money. So I think that right now, especially going back to what we were just talking about, the struggles of the O-line, the ability for him to pull the ball down and run every once in a blue moon, maybe definitely more than he is right now, terrifies you as a D lineman. It changes the way you rush the passer, and it also makes you play a little bit more kind of zone. You need to almost designate someone out of coverage, right, to keep an eye on him, or you have to pull somebody out of the rush to keep an eye on him. So it challenges you defensively. So I agree with Mrs. Jackson.
I do too. And I felt this way for the last couple of seasons. I get it. I certainly understand that there have been false narratives that have surrounded Lamar Jackson, but man, dude, you are so good at this. Good. So good. Please do it more. That's my it's effortless, right? At the end of the game, when they went down and scored at the end, when it was really too late at that point, right? He ripped off that, 60-yard run or whatever it was, and just coasted through everybody, and you just go you want to see a little bit more of that. And I don't know how you work that into the offense. I think that's a natural feel for a quarterback. Right.
I obviously never played quarterback, but I was on the other side of it. And there's always, unless you send 6, there is always an escape route for a quarterback. There's always an open gap. When you rush 4, there are escape routes, and great quarterbacks know where they are, and they take them.
I think the other thing that the defense has – the last 3 weeks, the Ravens' defense has been better. Now, we acknowledge part of that is because the bar was very low. They were the worst pass defense in the NFL leading up to that point. I still, they gave up 24 points. They didn't force a turnover yesterday. But if the offense can get back to where they were earlier in the season, is there room to be encouraged about the defense at least being better, at least being more like an average group that if you can keep a high level of offense, you could maybe make a run with?
Yeah, no, I was look. Their defense did enough to me to win, but minus getting a turnover to win that football game last night. Right, I really believe that. At the end of the day, the reason the Ravens lost was because they couldn't score touchdowns.
Right,
that was it. Yeah, to me, the Justin Tucker thing, it caught up to you, but he was kicking those field goals because they didn't score touchdowns. So defensively, I thought they did a really good job, especially in the run front. It took Saquon a while to get going. And I was actually really interested to see if they were going to stick with it, if Kellen Moore would stick with the run. And I give him credit because he did. And Saquon ripped off that 25-yarder at the end to score. But I was really impressed with the run front, which, look, they were good against the run going in. They're stout up front. They don't have the same level of pass rush and pressure. And I think a lot of that comes back to, look, you lost one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL last year. And you got Zach Orr there, who's first-time play caller and kind of figuring it out, and this group is figuring it out. And they're not great. They're not terrible. But I do think that they can be good enough if your offense scores more than 24 points.
I agree wholeheartedly. All right, we got to do this for 2 weeks because there's a bye. Well, this is going to be fun for us, Brandon. What's up next for you, man? For me, which is great, I am home this week, meaning I have the Panthers at the Eagles. Okay.
Which will be fun. I've been out on the West Coast a lot this year. I've had a few Seattle games and Broncos games, so a lot of travel. So being able to just scoot down to Baltimore this weekend and then have a kind of a home game here, with the Eagles. Even though, I don't know what it's going to look like with the Panthers. They're playing everybody close, but they haven't really played anybody like the Eagles in a bit. So I don't know what it's going to be like, but from a preparation standpoint, it's half the work because I just did the Eagles. I got to adjust some numbers, and I'm good to go.
That is a great point. And the Panthers have been suddenly watchable recently.
Look, we were watching that game last night as the Eagles-Ravens wrapped up, right?
Yeah.
We popped that thing on to watch the end of the Bucks and the Panthers.
No doubt, man. And obviously, I'm sure it's an exciting week in your life with Penn State playing for the Big Ten title. So
shocking as well. Better.
Yeah.
I was completely unprepared for that. There's absolutely no doubt about it. I was super excited about the thought of a home
Right.
playoff game in
Right.
Beaver Stadium in December. Amazing, but like the fact that they're going to play Oregon and Indy. Was not mentally prepared for that. I'm excited about it.
There was a moment I was hanging out with one of my Penn State buddies on Saturday, and there was a moment where I was like, "Oh my God, could this actually be a bad thing for them? Where like if they were to lose to Oregon, they could end up being in trouble." And then I looked at no, that's not the case. Like the bubble's not very good. There's no actual concern there, but like man.
I don't think so. I think because of what happened in the SEC over the last couple of weeks, I think that they're safe. But honestly, like the best path to the national title game is the 5th seed, which really at the end of the day means you kind of want to stay out of that conference championship game.
Yep, no doubt about it. All right, Brandon Noble, @BNoble75 is how you follow him on Twitter. Really appreciate you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us. We hope that the next time you make a visit to our fine city, the result is far different. We have a much more pleasant conversation.
I do too, man. It's always good to talk to you guys, and I hate to be a bad omen, but next time I'm down there, let's do this again.
I appreciate it, brother. Thank you, man. Brandon Noble with us here on GCR. Good dude, great dude. Just sick of. I do feel like we've had multiple Brandon Noble conversations after losses for games that he's called. I don't know what that is, but if it has something to do with him, then he's got to go. It's just the way that it works. It feels like we're struggling with slaps today, and I get it. Because I struggled with slaps today. Because inherently, you want to put another special teams player on the list.
Or more.
Yeah, that's true. It could be as many as 3. You're right. Rules are rules. I'd say I didn't write the rules, but I did. So it's a struggle. And I think some people are even forgetting what slaps is. I think some people accidentally sent me their pats. Like, the Ravens lost yesterday. I think Mark Andrews made some great catches too, but
should have been better.
Yeah, we don't.
Should have caught that.
Yeah,
that one. I think there was only one that he didn't catch.
Yeah,
he should have caught it. I guess.
I started retweeting people, and I'm like, wait a second, these can't be your slaps. Why is Mark Andrews number 1 on this list? Ain't no way. Mark Andrews was phenomenal. Then I just realized, like, oh, you were sending me your pats on the ass. We don't do that after losses. We do slaps.
Well, maybe we could.
Why? Why?
Make it easier for people.
And we do 3 up and 3 down for the Orioles, even if they
5
lose,
up and
even
5
if they
down.
go 1 and 5 during a week. I guess we could do that. I don't know. Maybe next year we do. We're not going to start it in week 13. That's not going to be when we change the rules for the game. Get me yours if you can come up with a list that. And again, it was a struggle for me. I acknowledge that it was difficult for me to come up with a second defensive player. One was easy. The second one, very difficult. But if you've got them, you could win a $50 gift card to Costa Sin. We'll go over that and picks.
Whoa, what's the matter?
It's effing hilarious. Like, it's objectively hilarious.
When I
can't even be mad anymore.
I didn't check until this morning.
Oh,
I knew I had a good week.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm sure.
I started the week.
I
started the week 2-2. I'm like, all right, yeah.
I started 4-0.
Oh, did you? Did you? Good for you.
Thanks.
Good for you. Just you knew that there was going to be a fumble at the end of the Clemson-South Carolina game. You just knew it. Look, man, I'll acknowledge.
Yeah, I did.
All right, we'll talk about it next. Glenn Clark Radio.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an easy pass for from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your EasyPass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your EasyPass account. Learn more at DriveEasyMD.com.
PressBox's Project Game Day is the place to be after every game this season. Join Glenn Clark, Rita Hubbard, Super Bowl 35 champion Femi Ayanbadejo, and our cast of regulars as they break down what happened, why it mattered, and what it means moving forward. You can watch the show at PressBoxOnline.com/GameDay or PressBox's Facebook and YouTube pages. Project Game Day is brought to you by the Green Turtle Sportsbook in Towson and Canton, EasyPass, and HelpMyGamblingProblem.org. So join us for Project Game Day after every game day this football season at PressBoxOnline.com/GameDay.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their amazingly scrumptious, fat, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. Every season is crab season at Costas, so make your plans now by calling 410-477-1975 and reserve your taste of heaven. Sit back, crack some crabs, and watch the Ravens chase down another title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday nights, Costas offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30, and there are nightly specials Monday through Friday. So head on down to the Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at CostasInn.com.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The top high school basketball talent from across the country returns to the Wycomico Civic Center December 26th through 30th for the Governor's Challenge presented by Pohanka of Salisbury. Witness 5 full days of elite competition featuring over 140 high school basketball teams from 16 states plus Canada. Multiple top 10 teams and nationally ranked players will display their talents on the court. Don't miss the best experience in high school hoops. For tickets and info, visit govchallenge.org.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
Yeah, you know who we are. All right, today's show also brought to you by County Sports Zone. The state football championships are set. You want to know who's playing, when they're playing, who they're playing against, how they got there, the whole deal. Get ready for the week in Annapolis right now by going to countysports.zone. It's proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com, countysports.zone for the final week of the state high school football playoffs. Also, if you missed anything from the Turkey Bowl and Loyola's win over Calvert Hall, you can find that at countysports.zone. Okay, fine. Picks recap.
All right.
Paul Valley with the greatest 4-5 week in picks history. A statement 4-5 for Paul Valley. For some reason, Ryan Chell was on Maryland. I'll never understand that in my life.
He's got room to work, you know.
That's true. He did have games that he could give away.
Really steal a point
and
there.
John from Little Rock's climbing back into the
for
picture.
about 10 minutes, looked like Ryan knew what he was talking about, you know?
They think 10 minutes is a stretch. For the first minute of the game, you were like, oh, and then no. I actually, I don't know what game I was watching, but they showed the early touchdown, the MJ Moore. I don't remember who he threw it to.
Caden Prather, right?
Prather,
Yeah,
I think that's right.
Prather.
And they showed Maryland up 7-0, and I was like, maybe I will flip over to the Maryland game for a second. And then by the time I had flipped over, it was like already 10-7. I'm just like, forget it. there's something else I can.
We were watching it. We were watching it with Chili Gwen, and she was. She's a Penn State grad, so she's very
I'm
big.
sure
into
she's
it,
very
so
excited.
we were watching. Yeah, I mean, she was
Very
flipping
excited.
it when Michigan won, and then
For a second, and then you go back and look back at my tweets at the end of the Ohio State game. I was like, oh my God, is this the nightmare scenario for Penn State that they just don't realize? Because I really was doing the math of like, could they now, if they take a second loss, end up in trouble on the bubble? Because like, if they have a second loss, they can't be ranked higher than Ohio State because Ohio State beat them and has a better win because Ohio State beat Indiana. Like, that's the goofy part is, in all of this, either they have to beat Oregon, and who knows, maybe. I mean, like, I don't think any of us think they will.
no.
But like, maybe. And if they don't, it's harmful they would be so much better off to just not be in the Big Ten championship game. Like, they have to be like asking, can we go back and double check the tiebreakers to see if maybe Indiana can go instead? Because to Brandon Noble's point, like, you might be best off being the 5 seed. Like, there's no way you can if Penn State loses this game, you can't keep them ahead of Ohio State, for example.
So it'll go.
Like, you can't.
Notre Dame 5, Ohio State 6, Penn State 7, Indiana 8, like more or less.
Probably that's the case. Probably. I don't know how you suss out all of the what. So if Georgia beats Texas, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, Texas is definitely ahead of
Everyone but
everyone but Notre Dame, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're the 6, and that just moves everyone. So Indiana gets a road playoff game instead of.
Do you definitively keep Penn State ahead of Indiana, despite the fact that they lost 2 games and Indiana lost 1? Like,
Probably because they lost to Ohio State by a touchdown. I don't know. I mean, Indiana was on the road. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, man. Like, there could still be some negative that I swear it's so much better. Well, they're going to be in the playoff. I think
yes, they're in. They're good. But like, is it possible that somehow they could lose out on a home playoff game because they have to play one more football? I don't know. I'm not an expert on the subject. It was just one of those things that I was like, they've got to be sitting there thinking like, just let Indiana go out there. Just let them do it.
Got to give credit to the Cignetti, man. I mean, if they can bury a team, they will do it.
That's true. That is true. Same. By the way, same with Penn State, because they're still throwing. Look, Mike Loxley's my guy, but dude, complaining about a team still trying at the end of the game, you're never gonna get me on board with that. Like, you just can't, man. Sorry. It sucks to lose. It sucks to get your brains beat in, but like, that ain't their fault. I got nothing else for you.
I really thought Maryland was going to be able to plant the flag at Penn State. That would have been
wild weekend, man. South Carolina, Clemson. Clemson was up late. South Carolina gets a dramatic 4th down touchdown run. What's their quarterback's name?
Norris?
I know Rocket. Yeah, that sounds right. I know Rocket Sanders because his name's Rocket Sanders. How do you not like that? But I always forget their quarterback is fun to watch. He's not great, but he's fun. And that's just as good.
Lenora Sellers. There.
Lenora Sellers.
Yeah.
He it was like 4th and 16, right? Something like that. And he takes off running, which you can do. And he gets not only the first down, but he gets the touchdown. And then Clemson's methodically moving the ball back. I'm like, all right, I'm still good here. No, nothing to worry about. Clemson's moving the ball back down the field. They've got to score a touchdown, so all's fine. Like, they're gonna, and then they just cough it up. Just cough up the ball going in. And so South Carolina wins. That gives points to Andrew Stecka.
And Clemson gets
Griffin.
the ACC championship anyway. So.
Right. This is as you said, they were thinking this all along.
They knew this game didn't matter.
They had nothing to worry about. They knew Syracuse was beating Miami. They didn't care when they got the ball back late. They were like, we're not even going to try to go score. We're going to be in. Points for Paul Valley. Paul Valley was on that one. How about it? Griffin Bass, James Revere, and Andrew Stecka. A game that wasn't like aesthetically pleasing on Saturday night, but Texas holds off Texas A&M 17-7. And so points in that one for most everybody. The only people that were on A&M were Jeremy Conn and John Proctor. Miami Green Bay on Thursday night. Look, man, I asked the bet on that one. That one I'll acknowledge. It's shameful. It's shameful that I picked. I just got drunk on, hey, Miami's playing better football, and I got drunk on the hook. I do it. I was a mark. I was a mark for the hook. Yeah, it's 3.5.
Well, I mean, if that what was the
for a minute
the pick six that didn't count
for a minute. You were like, no. It's Miami in the cold. You all were right. And honest to God, there was a part of me that after you guys were reminding me about the cold thing, I was like, oh, I should change my pick. What am I doing? But we try not to do that, so I just left them. It's stupid. That's on me. That one 100% was on me. Myself, Jeremy, John Proctor, Paul, Ryan, all on Miami. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. This was the death of the Bengals, which is bad news because they have another game with the Steelers, and I don't know at that point how much they're going to have to play for. Like, will Joe Burrow suddenly have an injury pop up in the next couple of weeks? I think this also puts Zach Taylor's future very much in doubt. I was talking with, who was that? It was Brian Powell.
So I guess Arthur Smith's going to be the top number 1 target there as well.
I was talking to Brian Powell, who I had said after the Ohio State game, like, they got to throw $20 million a year at Urban Meyer, right? Like, they just got to. They have no choice now. They have to. And Brian Powell was like, well, a lot of people out there are talking about Vrabel. And I'm like, yeah, I get it, except that Vrabel's going to be one of the hotter commodities in the NFL coaching circle this year, and so he's going to have his choice. And then our buddy Aaron Oster, who works out in Vegas, was like, hey, there's a lot of smoke about Vrabel and the Raiders right now. And I said, yeah, I mean, like, I hear it, but if I'm Vrabel and there's already established like, Chicago's already open with a quarterback. Jacksonville presumably is coming open with what we think is a quarterback. Now if Cincinnati comes open, like,
yeah,
I get that the ownership thing, the Bengals are perpetually the Bengals. But if you've got your choice of jobs and it's rookie, like Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, probably. I don't know who else could still end up getting into the top of the draft conversation. Caleb Williams, Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow.
With Jamar Chase.
My God. Like, that's the job. So that's really the bigger story to me coming out of it. I mean, the first story is the Bengals, they're done. Like, it's over. The thing where I couldn't quit the Bengals, yeah, I quit. Like, it's over. It's over. It's amazing to me how bad the defense ended up being. That, like, they couldn't even get to a place where they could be mediocre. It's gotta cost Zach Taylor his job. Like, how do you let someone survive that, even if it's not his fault? Like, you have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. I don't know. Anyway, I was on Cincinnati. I was not alone. Joe Serpico, Ken Zales, John Proctor, Paul Valley. We all got that one wrong. Everybody else had the point with Pittsburgh. The Atlanta Chargers thing, again, an unwatchable football game. Just bad. But Kirk Cousins was a little bit worse. I don't know how they keep trotting. Like, this is – I had wondered a couple of weeks ago when the conversation would be loud about Michael – like, you drafted an older quarterback in the first round, and while Kirk Cousins had some fun games to start the season, he's still Kirk Cousins. Yesterday, obviously, was a disaster. It's not just that he's throwing picks. It's that, like, the first pick he threw in the flat, you would be alarmed by Ben DiNucci throwing that pick. You'd be alarmed by Duck Hodges throwing that ball. It's one of the worst interceptions I've ever seen. And yet, they were still in it. He threw 4 picks. They were still in it. I was on Atlanta. Griffin was on Atlanta. James was on Atlanta. Jeremy Conn was on Atlanta. Everybody else got the point. The smart money was on Arizona. It's something that I noticed during the week. Like, all of the smart money was on Arizona, and I couldn't figure it out. I was very confused by it. I'm like, what is there to like about Arizona after they scored 6 points in Seattle? Well, not enough for them to win the game, but sure as hell enough for them to cover. And Arizona stays within a field goal of Minnesota. Jeremy Conn following the smart money. Kyle Ottenheimer maybe following the smart money. They steal the point on that as Arizona gets the cover, but Minnesota gets the win.
That is one thing Kyle does. He follows the smart money.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Thank God, a great week. Jeez.
Did he go 7-2?
Yeah, he did.
He's back in the conversation. So, Andrew Stecca, what a fool. We'll get back to that in a second. What a doofus Andrew Stecca
Going
is.
7-2.
How stupid does he feel?
Yeah, he's gonna have to. I mean, he's got a 10-game.
Yeah, it doesn't help him at all. Like, he's not gonna win. Now he's got no chance of
He's
losing.
dead in the middle. He's 10 games from the top, 10
he's
games
stuck.
from the bottom.
He's screwed. He's stuck. All he's done is he's clinched himself
just,
another year.
He's just got to stop making picks.
Right.
That's what he's got to do.
100%. That's all he can do. Just take O's. That's all he can do. Buffalo, San Francisco. Yeah, again, early on in this game, San Francisco goes down the field. They score. It's snowing. I'm like, this is what I thought. It's going to be a low-scoring game. That bodes well. Then Christian McCaffrey gets hurt. And Buffalo just railroads San Francisco, obviously, from there. Look, Buffalo looks like a machine. I get it. I'm scarred by the Buffalo that I saw in Baltimore earlier this season. Like, I am. Maybe just the presence of Amari Cooper makes them dramatically different, but it's hard for me to shake what I saw in that game, and I'm still going to struggle with Buffalo. But at the moment, yeah, they're the team to beat in the AFC. That's the reality of it. Although, for them, the tough part being things still have to go through Arrowhead. Like, everybody who sits and says, imagine having to go there and play. Well, at the moment, you don't have to. The moment, AFC Championship game is still in Kansas City because, holy yes, they just
they're a good football team.
Yeah, that's what it is. But, yeah, I was on San Francisco. Thankfully, Paul was on San Francisco and Jeremy was on San Francisco. And the only ones on Philly were Ryan Shell, Joe Serpico, and John in Little Rock. So, for the week, a bunch of 7-2s, as we mentioned. John in Little Rock, 7-2. Kyle Ottenheimer, 7-2. Andrew Steck is 7-2. That was the high water mark. The low water mark was 2-7. It could have been anybody.
Who was 2-7?
Could have been anybody.
Somebody went 2-7.
Could have been anybody, really, when you think about it. Could have been anybody.
You're two. What were your two? Okay, Penn State and
yeah. The
you
one
get
that
a
everybody
single
got.
NFL game.
I told you I was 2-2 going into. I was like, I got a shot. 2 for 5 on Sunday. Yeah, I'm 3 games now behind. Paul's got some distance. I'm 3 games behind. Although there's now a race at the top of the table, as KZ and John Little Rock are just 2 games behind Ryan Shell. That's where we are after week 13.
4 games back. I'm right there.
You're in the conversation. Not right there, but in the conversation.
Right there.
You're not as close to the top as Paul Valley is.
All I need is a 2-7 week from them, and
yeah, that would be great, wouldn't it? Maybe they'll ask me to make their picks for them. Yeah, you'll be in good shape. Gross, just gross. All right, slaps to the ass. Brought to you by
the helmets.
That's right.
Yeah.
If it slaps to the ass, then these people's lists would make sense. I don't know what's going on here. Slaps to the helmet. Brought to you by the Costas Inn. Yes, it's an unpleasant day, but you can make it better by winning a $50 gift card to the Costas Inn. All you got to do is participate in Slaps to the Helmet, and it's got to be a legitimate list. Got a lot of people that are trying to put a special teams player and a coach, or, again, 2 to 3 special teams players on the list. I get it. Tylan Wallace and Jordan Stout can thank their lucky stars. They were a big part of the story yesterday, and it's one of the conversations we don't really want to have. Jordan Stout has been as meh as meh gets since he's arrived in Baltimore. And there have been moments where I've wanted to believe that Jordan Stout was a find, but we got way too much evidence now. Jordan Stout is just a guy, and that to me, like we won't scream about it, but I think you could find a street punter that's just as good as Jordan Stout. I don't know what you can find on the street as far as kickers are concerned. But there's nothing about Jordan Stout that is special to me. Nothing at all in any aspect of the game. But
I agree.
But he'll avoid this list because
I'm trying to figure out how they're calculating yardage, like just looking at the box score. Is it like from where he's standing and punts it? Is that how they calculate it in the box score? Because like he only netted like 30 yards on a couple of those punts, and they're saying he averaged 48 yards like a punt yesterday, which is not true because he only had one punt that was 48 yards.
I got to be honest with you, man. I always thought that it was from the line of scrimmage, but
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not,
because they're saying his long was 58, which is not true because he had 4 punts, and I just looked at each one, and the longest was 48. So I
mean, again, I don't know.
But I'm with you. The point is, I
were any of them
agree
touchbacks?
No, I don't think he had any touchbacks because they returned almost every single one. And
all right, let's get into it. Let's just we're not spending any more time on it. He doesn't make the list because of the rules, and only because of the rules. If we just did pick the 5, he'd be he'd still be, I don't know, he might still be 4 for me, but we'll get there. The defensive players obviously were the hardest to put on the list, and the two that made my list are the two that just I have some expectations for, and they just really didn't do anything yesterday, and that's the reality of it. It's probably unfair for Nnamdi Madubuike to be my number 5 because Nnamdi Madubuike has to take on double teams and has to, it's a more complicated story than just is he getting sacks. But he's getting paid an awful lot of money, and he didn't do anything. He had 1 tackle, and I think he did get his fingertips on a pass. That's it. On a day where most of the defense played well and you got to pick somebody, the guy that's getting paid a whole heck of a lot of money that just didn't make an impact on the football game, that's the guy, Nnamdi Madubuike, number 5.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, I considered kind of for similar reasons considered Hamilton almost just because, I mean, they were doing a good job of avoiding him, so it wasn't entirely on Hamilton. But I went with another guy. I mean, I just really struggled with who my second defensive player was going to be. So I went with a guy that we have started to kind of expect a little bit more from. I went with Tavius Robinson. I mean, he just wasn't impacting
I actually thought
a whole lot.
He made
I thought they
couple
did
of plays.
He had one pressure and he played a lot more. He was playing a lot more.
But he also played the run a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I thought Tavius Robinson actually had an impact on the game, unlike some other guys.
I mean, and that's why I just didn't feel. I feel like Madubuike did. Like, he was helping to play the run as well, even though he was dealing with a lot of double teams. You're going up against the best, one of the best, the best offensive line that you've seen so far. So, but yeah, I went with Tavius Robinson just because I just wasn't really sure where else to go, and I felt like he did not have the impact on the game that we're slowly starting to expect.
My number 4 to me is where you can make that argument for the guy that I have at number 4. I disagree with you. I don't think you can make an argument about Tavius Robinson. But Odafe Oweh's number 4, and that's the guy to me that absolutely fits that bill. Quietly, Odafe Oweh's been having a great season, a great season. And with Kyle Van Noy out yesterday, the Ravens needed Odafe Oweh to have an impact on the football game. They needed him to make plays. And that to me is the biggest, we're going to praise the defense, but there weren't big plays. Some of their third down conversions were just because Jalen Hurts is a strange cat, man. I think he's better, but boy is he one to just throw the ball away on third down. Like, he is one to not give his guys a chance to make a play. And maybe that's the nature of having a good defense, and we trust the process. Just get rid of the ball. Like, punts are okay.
Patrick Mahomes won a Super Bowl last year doing it.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. And that might be the philosophy right now in Philadelphia. But it's strange to watch how kind of quickly he's willing to just give up on a play and say it's not there and accept a punt. It's odd. There weren't big plays. There weren't.
I mean, the Marlon and Roquan sack? Like, that was maybe the biggest one.
Yeah. I mean, somebody else had a big TFL early in the game. That might have been the Tavius Robinson one, actually.
Oh, was that wasn't Madubuike? I thought that. Why do I feel like Madubuike did have one? Like, he did. Like, yeah, he had the one, but it was. Let's see. He did have that pass breakup. I don't know.
Oh, it was Chris Board. Chris Board had a huge
yes.
TFL on third down. But then they punted the ball down to the 1 yard line, right? Boy, they have a punter. That's nice. That's got to be fun.
Braden Mann had 300 yards.
Braden Mann was. I mean, if I was doing pats on the ass in Philadelphia, Braden Mann would be high on the list. He was awesome yesterday. He was great. Now, he was also aided by a punt returner that had no interest in catching the football.
Which would have been. I mean, was that because the last one that I think Brandon Noble was talking about, where they started inside the 5 yard line, was that just the Ravens were telling Tylan Wallace to not even get near the ball?
Maybe, I don't know, man.
Because he was bobbling every single one.
But then he can't be the guy. Mm-hmm. Like, that's if your answer is we're gonna put a guy back there that's not allowed to catch the punt, then you can't have him be the punt returner. Like, my God, what is this? Yeah, Odafe Oweh has had a really good season, but they needed him yesterday, and he didn't do anything. He was a non-factor in the football game, and they needed more from Odafe Oweh, particularly with Kyle Van Noy out.
He played 15 snaps. I guess we're gonna have to hear something that happened. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you. He's on my list as well. I have him at number 3. I have him one more higher. I went with Lamar as my number 4.
There's no way that I could put him on the list.
I mean,
no way.
because I didn't know where else to go. I guess I should have gone
obvious.
2 offensive linemen.
Yes. I mean, that to me is crazy. Not to say that Lamar's without fault.
Could have ran a few more times.
Yes, that I agree with whatever you're going to say.
Just missing likely on the one that
I'll
he was
agree
wide
with all
open.
of it. But there's no way that he can be on the list.
That's why he's 4. And
There's
I didn't
no
know
way.
where, literally outside of the 3 guys, I didn't know where else to go. And I guess, the argument for 2 offensive linemen makes
the truth is
the
that
most
it was
sense.
difficult because, ironically.
But what we're talking about is they got to score touchdowns. And so Lamar's going to have to be Joe Burrow, like, from now on. Like, he is going to have
that's
to.
Not the defense played well enough. Like, they don't. It's an oversimplification.
Well, I mean,
of
if
it.
one of the 2 other aspects of the game are not going to are going to be graded as an F, like whether early in the season the defense was getting an F.
I think
Last night it
think
was
there's
the
separate
special teams.
conversations because what I'm going to agree with you about is if they're going to win the Super Bowl, it might very well require Lamar Jackson to be Superman every week, and that's unfair big picture, but that's just might be the reality of it. Like the cape has to go on every game if you're going to win the Super Bowl this season.
And taking the sacks to back them up in field goal range.
Yeah, it was bad. I agree, but it doesn't compare to how awful the offensive line was. Like in the context of the game that was played, the story on offense was, God damn, they were overwhelmed. And Tyler Linderbaum is going to be the one that's going to get saved for making the list this week, but I kind of regret that because he also had the snap infraction, and so he got his ass kicked, and he had a snap infraction. Like, after I made the list, I said to myself, maybe I should have put Linderbaum over. But to me,
the snap infraction was interesting because I was almost thinking, is it possible that he knew like Lamar wasn't look? We didn't have. I don't think they showed like a full replay.
Yeah, there's
Lamar
no
wasn't
way that
looking.
he could have known that. There's no way.
And so
There's
you'd
no
rather not have the Aiden O'Connell. He's not even looking.
Yeah,
you'd
get
rather
it.
just take 5-yard loss there.
I get it, but
instead of losing the football.
The view that they showed looked way more like he just went to snap the ball and it didn't come off his hand. And that look, mistakes happen, and you go from there. I'm gonna go Fa'alele 3 and McCary 2. It could be any combination of them. The interior of the offensive line was over-effing-whelmed. And some of the folks that have already started coming through, the All-22, oh, my God, it just looks worse. Like, it is just, it's atrocious. They were getting blown off the ball throughout the course of the day. It's kind of a miracle that it wasn't worse than it was, given how bad the interior of the offensive line was last. I mean, it was horrendous. So, yeah, Fa'alele 3, McCary 2. McCary, I'm not.
He did not. Yeah, I mean,
he
was my number 2. Oh, it was my 3.
It
McCary
was
my 2.
Ungodly, but it wasn't good for Fa'alele. It was bad for Fa'alele.
Yeah, I guess I just felt like Fa'alele did slightly better, I guess, in pass. It felt like whenever Lamar was under pressure, it was coming from obviously they're going up against probably the best defensive front that they've faced so far, maybe the best in the league. But McCary number 2, it felt like he was the main culprit if you had to pick one on the offensive line.
He was my number 2, but Fa'alele was really bad, and Linderbaum was really bad too. Like they were all the interior of the offensive line was bad.
Maybe a lot of it is because also what was it? Linderbaum was the lead blocker on the one long Henry run.
Yeah, okay.
So
All
but I guess, and then the very next play was the snap infraction. So maybe you're just tired.
I don't know. I don't know. It was bad. Get me yours. And again,
what about number 1?
Oh yeah. What about number 1?
Randy Brown.
Randy Brown. Sure. It's tough, man. It's really tough. There's nothing else to say.
Sam Cook for not coming back. Like what's the?
I got a lot of questions. Got a lot of questions, dog. Got a lot of questions. We will see how it plays out during the course of the week. If John Harbaugh was being completely truthful in his answers about Justin Tucker, or if they will consider other options, consider using a practice squad spot on a kicker. That's what Atlanta's doing, right? Like that with the Younghoe Koo's issues, they signed Riley Patterson to the practice squad.
Was that last week or was that?
I think it was last week. Just acknowledging, dude, if it continues, we want to have somebody that's in the building that we can turn to. I would be at the point, and I said this yesterday, I'd be at the point where I'd put them on the practice squad and activate them. Now, I get that It depends on where your needs are, like where you're
Well,
at
I mean, if you have
health-wise.
Deontay Johnson not playing a snap,
It's
he could have been on the list. Maybe that should have been my second offensive player.
No, you can't. You can't. That's not the story of the game. There's nothing to do with it, but I get it. Like, I would activate them and say, dude, if you miss 2 kicks, somebody else is taking the third. Or maybe even if you miss 1 kick, one reason. Like, if he misses a 55-yarder, okay. But if you miss a 47-yard field goal or an extra point, you're not trying the next one. Like, that's where I'm at. I get it. They're not cutting Justin Tucker. Almost certainly they're not cutting Justin Tucker for a number of reasons. One of which being you don't want him to go end up being the Chiefs kicker and kicking you out of the playoffs. The other being the $7 million in dead cap space next year. There's a bunch of reasons. They're not cutting Justin Tucker, I don't think. But I'm definitely at the point of put him on the practice squad and activate him and go from there. We'll get him up at GlennClarkRadio.com. I keep coming back to it. Slaps to the helmet for the Ravens' loss to Philadelphia yesterday. And, no fun. Nobody's having a good time. It's what it is. Somebody's getting a $50 gift card to Costas Inn, though, and that person will be having fun. That person will be the one person in town that's having a good time. If you haven't picked up this print issue of Press Box yet, make sure you do it today. It's available for free at your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of the hundreds of locations around town where you find Press Box. You can read it all at PressBoxOnline.com. You see on the cover Derek Queen and Juju Reese, the Baltimore bred duo, reunited in College Park. Maryland won both their games this week, obviously against lesser competition, Bucknell and Alcorn State. They got a big one coming up Wednesday against Ohio State. You can check it all out, PressBoxOnline.com. Go get it for free. It's only available for a couple of more weeks before it's gone, daddy gone, the love is gone, in favor of our annual Best Of issue, which will hit newsstands in December. I want to take a second here because it's been an unpleasant morning. But it's not all unpleasant for me. In fact, it's almost the diametric opposite of that. The last time that we were here was Wednesday. And all I said was, charity raffle's coming. I didn't even have time to give you the details that day. Just said it was coming. And obviously on Wednesday night, I made it live. And you guys filled it before I even got back on the air over here. You guys filled all 100 spots in our charity raffle for Helping Up mission, and you raised $2,500 that we're going to be able to spend on toiletries and underwear for the men and the women that are trying to pick their lives up in our community at Helping Up mission. And that's overwhelming, man. That's overwhelming. And I didn't have to call people out by name. I didn't have to come on here. And I did a little bit on the radio for fun, but that was for fun. What you guys did, it's really overwhelming. And it's a reminder of how much I love this community and how appreciative I am of our listeners and our friends. But in the span of 4 days over a holiday weekend where we weren't doing shows, you guys threw in $2,500 for Helping Up mission. And that means everything to me. So we're going to do, next on the list, we're going to do another Charity Bowl Pick'em this year. Brian Powell will get that fired up. It'll be the same thing. It'll be a $20 buy-in, 10 to the winner, 10 to Helping Up mission. So I might try to cap it at 35. Just say I want to get 35 people in it, because if we do that, then we'll be at $3,000 for Helping Up mission, and I love that. So that'll be the next step in the process, and we'll make those details clear as the week goes on. But all I can do is say thank you, and we will pull winners later today. We will go ahead and let you know if you're a winner in our charity raffle. All right, so thank you. Now, back to the topic at hand. Joining us now, he is, of course, former NFL kicker, CBS NFL analyst. We've talked to him a few times this year. We told him we were going to call him back and see if maybe perhaps he's changed his opinion about the subject. as Justin Tucker misses 3 more kicks yesterday and now dips to 70% for the season, worst among all NFL regulars this season. It's a pleasure, as always, to welcome back to the program Mr. Jay Feely, who's with us now on GCR. Jay, it's Glenn. Always appreciate you taking the time for us. Happy holiday season. Thank you for doing this morning.
Glenn, happy holidays to you as well. Go Blue. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not happy that I'm back on here with you.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate that you're willing to take the time. And I love it when it's the week of a Ravens game that you're calling, but I don't love these conversations. I don't love them.
I agree. I'm with you.
Jay, I know when we talked the first time this season, you said, hey, look, this is Justin Tucker we're talking about. And I got to be clear, it ain't just you. I tried calling everyone that I could in this community, former special teams coaches, other friends of mine that are kickers, other coaches around the league. I said in the column I wrote today, just last week, I texted 2 other current coaches in the NFL and a current front office person, and I said, hey, what would you do? And in unison, they all said, this is Justin Tucker, what are you talking about? It's some version of that. But I don't know how to keep saying that at this point. Like, it's costing them games. It's a problem for the Baltimore Ravens.
It is, Glenn, and it's something that this organization really hasn't gone through, because before Justin Tucker, you had Matt Stover. And so you've had 2 of the best kickers in NFL history play for your organization. And historically, you could just count on making field goals and making clutch field goals. And with Justin Tucker, you could count on making long field goals. And that impacted the way you played third down. It impacted your play calling. You weren't worried about trying to get an extra 5 or 6 yards to get him in a better situation to make the field goal. You were trying to get first downs. You were trying to score. And so it certainly had a big impact. And Justin Tucker is still the best of all time. And I'll just give you a little bit of context and perspective. If you say, like, who are the 2 best kickers outside of Justin Tucker over the last 10 years, it's probably Harrison Butker and Boswell in Pittsburgh. And Butker had a year where he was 75%.
Okay.
And Boswell had a year where he was 71%. He had another year, now albeit like half a year, but he was 61%. So those kickers, everyone has down years. It's just that Justin Tucker has never had a down year. And when you're going through that down year and it's having an impact on you and it's costing you games, that's when it stands out. And the way this team has been playing and playing close games, when he misses kicks, it's having an impact. And what I look at when I watch him kick now, the thing that's different is the ball flight. It doesn't come off pure like it always has. His ball flight has always come off so pure. It stayed on line. And he's hitting those kicks, especially when they go to the left, where he's getting a ball flight that comes off not straight end over end, but a little bit of the oblong butterfly type effect. And you can see it, and that ball is hooking left. And then because it's hooking left, he says, okay, I got to play the ball further out right. And then he hits a pure ball and it stays out right. And that's his normal ball flight. And so he's in a position now where he's hoping, not knowing he's going to make kicks. And that's where you never want to be as a kicker or a closer in baseball. And that's what I always liken it to, is closers in baseball, where they've been dominant. All of a sudden they have 2 or 3 blown saves in a row, and they come out and they don't have the same stuff, and they're not thrown with the same conviction. And that's where Justin Tucker finds himself right now.
Jay, there's a couple things I want to follow up on there because it's really insightful. You bring up that, Chris Boswell had a 71% season just 2 years ago. And that's my problem with people that want to go to Justin Tucker's washed. The more I talk to guys like you and kickers, the sense that I get is he's still capable of doing it. He still has the leg. He's only 35 years old.
Absolutely.
And I think this is what complicates the Ravens, situation right now. If he was 42 and he just couldn't do it anymore, then it would be easy to say, all right, we got no choice. We've got to move on. That's
Correct.
Not the case, and there is precedent for kickers going through miserable stretches and figuring it out.
Not just precedent. It happens to every kicker.
Yeah.
Everybody, you can't name me a kicker that hasn't gone through this. And he just got to find a way to figure it out. And the other thing I would say, and this is completely speculation, but you don't know what he's going through health-wise. And, just talking about me in particular, my career, I tore a PCL one time, played through it. I broke my sesamoid bone in the bottom of my kicking foot, played through it. I tore a labrum in my shoulder, played through it. Never missed a game after any of those. It certainly had an impact on my performance, the way I kicked the ball, how good I was, but I was going out there fighting through it, playing for my team. You don't know if he's playing through anything. You don't know what's going on as well. And so I think all of those are why you have to have context. And like I heard and I saw people say a week ago, like, they got to move on. They got to make a move. They can't keep going through this. And because of how good he's been, that's why you give him the benefit of the doubt. But he has to figure it out. You're beyond that point where, like, hey, don't worry, it's just Justin Tucker. No, right now it's an issue and it's a problem. And he's got to go through what every kicker in NFL history has gone through. How do I perform when I'm failing? How do I deal with failure? He's never had to really deal with failure in his career. And that's what makes and breaks kickers, is the ability to deal with failure and come back and not allow it to impact you going forward.
Jay Feely is with us here on GCR. Jay, you referenced that right now he's hoping, not knowing. And that's, what you just said is a perfect way of describing what I think we're all seeing on his face, because you're definitely seeing someone who does not look like Justin Tucker. And I've had the pleasure of doing a lot with Justin Tucker over the years. I really like the guy. He's one of the most confident humans I've ever met in my entire life. Like,
no question.
He oozes. Yep. It's almost ego, and I've said that a few times, and I don't think he would even argue with me. Like, he is one of the most.
No, you have to have that.
Yeah,
yes.
He's a cocksure human. Like, he is very comfortable in his own skin. He doesn't care what people think about him. I like all of that about Justin Tucker on a human level and appreciate it greatly. But you're not seeing it in the moment. What can fix that in a football season? Is it just making a kick? Because a lot of people were hoping that the kick that he made in Los Angeles last week might be the moment. Is it, a bye week, getting away from the game? What is it? Bringing in competition? What? Okay, like what?
No.
Okay, all right. Take me through.
Bringing in competition will do. Yeah, bringing in competition will do nothing to fix Justin Tucker.
Okay.
That will not in any way benefit him or help him. Harbaugh going up to him on the sidelines, hugging him, telling him how much I believe him, that will help him. But you're right, because his entire career, he's been able to have that outer shell, like, I'm invincible. No one can defeat me. I'm not going to miss, and going out there with that confidence. And for the first time, that shell is cracked, and he's got to figure out a way to fix it. And I do think having a bye week, getting fresh, getting healthy, and getting away a little bit. But to me, I think he's going to practice more. I think he's going to focus on fixing it. It's not like, hey, I'm just going to forget kicking and I'm going to go away, which a lot of times you do on your bye week. Just don't even think about football. I think it's different. I think it's, hey, let's really dive in and look at, why am I not hitting the ball cleanly like I normally do, and what can I do technically to fix this? And, they have the staff there to be able to help him. And I think, that's the only thing. And making a big kick, making a game winner, a clutch kick, those can go a long way to, like, helping that confidence and getting back to where you were.
Jay, I have argued that while first of all, I just don't think they're cutting Justin Tucker. There's two big reasons. One being you don't want him to figure it out and be the Chiefs kicker if Harrison Butker, his injury is worse and now he beats you in the playoffs. And then two, he still counts as $7 million in dead cap space next season. Like, that's a difficult thing to do, to spend a lot more cap at the kicker position. But I have said that what, like, the Falcons did with Younghoe Koo, and said, hey, we're going to sign Riley Patterson to the practice squad because this is a problem, and we might have to make a move at some point, and it could behoove us to have that guy in the building working with our long snapper and working with our holder. That sounds smart to me. Again, I'm a dumb guy, Jay. I don't know about this the way that you do. Would there be – I don't think you're going to cut him, but is there a point at which you say, hey, we might have to have two kickers on the roster because we can't just keep doing this each week?
So I'll just talk from my perspective, and I think Justin Tucker and I have similar personalities. For me, if you brought another guy in and you put him on the practice squad, that's not helping me in any way. That's not going to make me kick better. That's not going to help me fix my issues. I think with Justin Tucker, the support when he's going through a tough time is going to be the thing that helps him the most. Now, if you feel like you have to make a move, I think you put him on IR. because everyone's going through things. Everyone has injuries that you could say, hey, this is his injury. He's got a whatever it is, put him on IR and say, hey, it's not working this year. We have to make a move. That's what you do if you decide that you have to make a move. But, man, what a hard decision that would be with a guy who has been the most clutch and the best kicker in the history of the NFL.
No doubt. No doubt. Well, I'll add to it, right? You still at that point are signing up for a guy on the street being your kicker to try to win a Super Bowl
that you know nothing about.
Right,
you have no idea how he's going to respond.
So, and let me ask it that way, because like I did some of the math on this. I've never spent this much time on this topic. I believe as of last night, kickers are on the whole 83.2% on the season, which is one of the worst seasons overall. It's funny because we were all talking at the beginning of the year about how it was the greatest, kicking season we'd ever seen. And ironically, here we get to this point, and it's actually one of the worst kicking seasons in recent memory.
Can I give you context to that?
Please, by all means.
Let me just give you a little context to that. You go back and look at the numbers, it's the most 50-plus yard field goals attempted ever.
Okay.
So when you're kicking longer kicks and coaches are like, hey, yeah, we'll kick a 64-yard field goal in the first quarter.
68-yard.
We'll try a 68-yard game winner.
Yeah.
That's right. Obviously, that's going to have an impact on the overall field goal percentage for all these kickers.
No, that's true, and that's very fair. But I said it, like, what would you be getting? Like, is there someone that's out there? I said
no.
I don't. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
You would be getting an unknown. You'd be getting a guy that you're hoping can come in and do the job. And I would just say, who do you have more confidence making a game winner? Justin Tucker, even despite the struggles he's had this year, or a guy off the street who you don't know how he's going to respond to pressure in the NFL?
And Jay, 2 weeks ago, I would have said definitively Justin Tucker. I'm at the point now where I don't. It's 70%. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what to do with that. I don't know that I can still tell you that the answer is Justin Tucker at this point, and it's killing me and eating me up.
Yeah, it's a hard decision.
Yeah, it's extraordinarily different. If I could go back to what you said from a technical aspect about the ball flight, is that a technique, a mechanical thing? Like, is it something that, if you had 5 minutes with him in a lab, that it could be like, how does that get fixed?
So he's a very he takes his practice incredibly serious. He's a guy that doesn't go out there and just kick a few balls and say, yeah, I'm good. Like, he wants everything right and everything done the right way from the snap to the hold to the kick. But when I watch his steps and everything, I've always been amazed at how good he is, because I don't think his steps are exactly perfect every single time. I'll give you an example. Harrison Butker, he's so fanatical about his steps that he has a tape measure on the sideline. And I watched him during the Super Bowl measuring his steps on the sideline to make sure they're exactly the same every single time. I've never seen anybody do that before. Now, he's very analytical in his approach to kicking, whereas Justin's a little bit more feel-oriented. I would say, hey, you're struggling right now. We got to make sure that everything's exactly the same. We got to make sure that every step is the same, that you're starting at the exact same point every time, so that we're trying to get that plant foot in the exact same spot every time. So where you're making contact with the ball is exactly the same every time, because it looks like to me, just watching ball flight, that his toes coming up a little earlier and making contact with the ball a little bit too soon. So while you're getting those hooks to the left with a little bit of the bad ball flight, those are just the things that you look at that I think you can go back and say, hey, here's a couple of the things that we need to really focus on so that we can try to get you back to kicking the way you always have.
That's really, really fascinating stuff, man. I appreciate you dissecting that for us, although, again, not going to make us feel better today.
It's not, but yeah. I'm the biggest fan of Justin Tucker. I've been so amazed watching his career, and it hurts my heart to see him struggling.
I get it. I completely get it. All right, so can we quickly have a conversation about flag planting? Can we just do, because I want you to know I hate Ohio State because I'm an American, right? Like, what's there to like about Ohio State? Although I had family in that area, so they probably won't love that. But I can't, like, nothing about what I saw on Saturday. I can't go back and be like, oh, it's Ohio State's in the wrong. You don't inherently have the right to go do whatever you want to do on another team's field. And I think that we come away from this saying that, like, the leagues are going to have to just do away with flag planting and saying, dude, we're not doing this. We're going to go put cops at midfield. You're not doing it. It pisses people off. Whatever. You won the game, celebrate, do whatever you want, but the flag planting thing is going to have to be over.
Yes, I agree with you.
Yeah.
And it was a terrible look for both teams, and it was a terrible look for college football. But at the same time, it's kind of more of a societal issue. You saw it 4 times.
Oh, yeah.
On Saturday. Like, there were 4 games that ended up in big fights like that. And at the end of the game, and, you know, I think because I had a bunch of texts from different people and family members, and we were kind of talking through that. And the more you see it, the more you know, like, this is more of a societal issue than it is just, hey, it's a flag issue. Like, that's not going to solve the problem.
That's
although
fair.
you have to say, like, hey, that's really going to add to it. If you go try and plant a flag in the middle of my field, on our field, yeah, we're probably going to do something. You think back to, like, the Cowboys star, and when T.O. was running and doing his thing in the middle of the star, yeah, they're going to defend that star. They're going to defend their home.
Yeah, that's correct. But to your point, like, teams are gonna want to do something else. Then, like, what other braggadocious thing can we do? And then we'll go through this all over again with whatever the new thing is. They'll climb the goalposts, or so I don't know what it'll be that they'll attempt to do next. And you're right, we'll have to deal with that then. Congratulations, though, by the way. I know it's been a difficult season.
Well, it made our season. We knew it was going to be a rough year, and we didn't play very well, but we beat Ohio State, so all is well in the world.
I get that. At Jay Feely is how you follow him. What's next on your schedule, sir?
I have Cardinals next at home, which is nice because I get to stay home. I'm going to have our whole crew over to my house.
Nice.
And we're going to have a big dinner at the house and hang out. So, yeah, it'll be fun.
That's awesome, man. Jay, always appreciate – well, I wish we weren't doing this. I wish we weren't, honestly.
I do, too.
But I truly appreciate
Call me back when he starts making all the field goals. He makes the game winner, and we can talk about what he fixed.
This is a promise. When it's all fixed, we'll call back and we will talk about it, all right? Jay, thank you,
I
man.
like it. All right, take care.
Jay Feely with us here on GCR. It's really insightful stuff. And, I think he's right. I really do. Yeah, I'm going to try to squeeze a break in. Tell Jeremy I love him. I got it. We're all over the place. I think he's right. And I did poke around last week with a couple of league sources. I said that about the Justin Tucker topic. And one of the things that I got, not from a Ravens source, I want to make that a bit clear, from a source with another team, that they were to understand that it's not that the Ravens are like so blindly loyal to Justin Tucker that they would never consider it, but more that they don't think there's a good option. They don't think that there's somebody else they could sign. They would say, we have faith in this guy. And that I do. I understand that. Because we get enamored of guys that make a couple of kicks. We're like, oh, you can just find... Again, last week somebody said, well, the Commanders just found Zane Gonzalez, and he just made his first 3 kicks. And then he turned around and he missed his next 2. And, hey, Anders Carlson has signed with 2 different teams this season and hasn't missed a kick yet. In 4 games, he's 7 for 7. You say to yourself, maybe they found something. Well, he's the same guy that missed 13 kicks. And I think 3 extra points. 13 field goals and like 3 extra points, including the one they needed in the playoffs to stretch the lead out to 7 against the 49ers. So, yes, he's made 7 kicks this year. But you're suddenly confident, and he's not even available. He's a Jet currently. But that was a guy that was plucked off the street. That's the guy that you're confident in? The guy that missed 13 kicks last year? And 3 extra points? That's the reality of the situation. We want to believe that you can just pluck anybody off the street and make him a kicker. But it's not actually true. It's just something we say for the sake of saying it. It's not reality. Jeremy Conn, maybe he can be the kicker. Maybe he can solve everything. Well, I don't know. I mean, he's a heck of an athlete. Well, he was, anyway. I think it's caught up to him these days. He used to be a damn good athlete. Jeremy Conn, he'll join us next. It's Glenn Clark Radio. Visit Harford County this holiday season for a brand new event. You'll feel like you stepped into a holiday movie. Harford Holidays is overflowing with the spirit of the holiday season. You'll be amazed by the jaw-dropping light displays, thrilled by a visit to Santa's workshop, and have the holiday time of your life with sleigh rides, a special vendor village, s'mores making stations, and so much more. It's a holiday light experience, new at Ripken Stadium, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, December 6th through December 22nd. For ticket information, head to visitharford.com. You'll have the happiest holiday season ever.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their amazingly scrumptious, fat, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. Every season is crab season at Costas, so make your plans now by calling 410-477-1975 and reserve your taste of heaven. Sit back, crack some crabs, and watch the Ravens chase down another title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday nights, Costas offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30, and there are nightly specials Monday through Friday. So head on down to the Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at costasinn.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin, and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Brooks Dubose profiles Maryland basketball forwards Derek Queen and Julian Reese as the Baltimore-built duo reunites in College Park with hopes of bringing the Terps back to prominence. Also inside, meet college basketball players from all of the area's D1 programs. Press Box is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores, where you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Need a trophy or award that's as unique as the achievement? Look no further than Crown Trophy. With locations in Owings Mills and Gaithersburg, they specialize in custom trophies, plaques, and medals for any occasion. From sports and academic awards to employee recognition and corporate gifts, visit crowntrophy.com today and let them help you create a lasting memory for your school, team, or business. Crown Trophy is a proud supporter of the Maryland Public Secondary Schools Athletic Association. crowntrophy.com.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along. Yes, we will do, at the end of this show, after we do Tidbit and Tubular, we will do our drawing, our charity raffle drawing. We're just going to do a number generator. We're not going to print out because then it could be one number is a different size. We're not doing that. We're just going to do a number generator, and we will let the computer pick the winners. That's the way that it'll go. So at the end of the day's show, that's what we're going to do. Today's show is also brought to you by our friends at the Ed Block Courage Awards. They have an amazing event coming up with Zay Flowers. Perhaps you've heard of him. The Holiday Party is the event. It's December 9th, 1 week from tonight at the Evolved Hospitality Catering Hall in Fallston with special guest host Zay Flowers. The event includes a live podcast show, audience Q&A, meet and greet, and a photo op with the Raven Star wide receiver. Enjoy a tailgate buffet from three-time Best of Baltimore chef Zach Trabold of the renowned The Local Restaurants. Donate a toy to support the children at St. Vincent's Villa. Receive an autographed picture from Zay. Tickets are $100 each. They're available right now. Bidpal.net. Bidpal.net/Holiday24. That's holiday. Replace the D with the Z. Holiday24 to get your tickets for the Holiday party. This man can be the Ravens kicker. He is from the Big Bad Morning Show over on 105.7 The Fan. Our buddy Jeremy Conn back with us now here on GCR. What's going on, pal? How was your Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving was good. Spent it with my wife's family at my brother-in-law's house, and I was telling somebody else it's kind of interesting. He married into a Buffalo Bills family. They're all from Buffalo. They came down for Thanksgiving, and just kind of interesting. They're so nice. He's like, I hope you guys win it if we don't, because I don't want to see the damn Chiefs again. But,
I mean,
it's nice overall.
There is some of that, right? Like, if it was a Chiefs-Bills AFC Championship game, I would definitely be rooting for the Bills in that situation.
I don't think there's any question about it. But there was something interesting I wanted to bring up to you, because I know you're a big music guy, too.
I am.
So late Friday night, my wife had fallen asleep early, and I'm scrolling through the channels, and I see Yacht Rock.
Oh, the documentary. I haven't watched it yet. Oh, is it good?
It's so good, and it explains so much. You learn so much about Michael McDonald, Kenny Loggins. I mean, look, it's not all just the corny white dudes. There's some black dudes in there too. But like what Yacht Rock is, and the coolest thing, like Toto's in it. And I know what people say about Toto. Do you know, like, I didn't know the impact that the band Toto had in music in the 80s.
Somebody said something to me about that. Yeah, it's really
funny. It's amazing. They're keyboard players on like every album.
Okay.
And one of their guys wrote Human Nature, and the band didn't like it, so Michael Jackson took it and made it number one.
Oh, I didn't know that. I did not know that.
Crazy, man. Yeah.
So
you're gonna love it.
Ringo Starr still tours to this day, right? And he was playing the Hippodrome maybe like 2 nights after the Paul McCartney show at Camden Yards. And there was a part of me that was like, oh, man, this would be like maybe I'd never seen either one of them. I'm going to knock out seeing the 2 living Beatles in the same week, right? Like, I'll go do that. I didn't end up going to the Ringo show, but I just didn't. I'm like, by the way, what is a Ringo Starr show? Like, what are you getting? Like, he's not.
I mean, he's singing, isn't he? And he's like, I think he covers a lot of other songs,
but
too.
That's the thing. I don't think he sings much. Like, I think he sings a little bit. But
I don't think he sings well.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't sing well. There's no question about it. Apparently, like, half the band that he tours with is Toto. Like,
really?
Yes, and they play like Toto songs.
I came away so impressed with that band, and I'd honestly forgot about a couple of Toto's hits songs that they had, because I'm always like, oh, they're a one-hit wonder with Africa. They're not.
By
God.
I first of all, I fight people about this. I think Africa is a fine song, but a fine song. To me, this is the chocolate chip cookie, oatmeal raisin cookie debate eternally, where, like, I think people just default to it because it's part of the zeitgeist. Like, oh, chocolate chip cookies are the best cookies. Like, no, they're fine. They're good cookies, but there are better cookies. You just you stop thinking and you haven't evolved on the topic. Africa's a fine song that we have a lot of pop culture reverence for. Rosanna's one of the greatest songs of the decade. Like, Rosanna is a literally flawless song. You
got to hear how that got written, too. And obviously people know it's about Roseanne Arquette.
Right.
But the guy that wrote the song wasn't the one that was dating her at the time. So, I don't know. The whole thing's just interesting to me. And I know you like music. And again, there's so many things on this where you're going, holy hell. And I just got the utmost respect for Michael McDonald. I effing love that guy.
I love Michael McDonald. By the way, I'm Yamo be there. You know, like let's do it, right? Yamo burn.
But he loves when people make fun of him too. He says it's funny, and I can see it. Like when he talked about Family Guy, and I forget. Oh, there was a big skit that Rick Moranis did on like SCTV of him, which was hilarious.
Well, and obviously the 40-year-old version, look, man.
Oh yeah,
but
Yamo be there.
Yeah, I'm not going to say a negative word about Michael McDonald because there's a particular video. I don't know how to explain this. Sometimes when I'm at the gym and I just don't know what to put on, I go to this YouTube music playlist that I've made, and there's a particular video of them of What a Fool Believes that I have apparently watched no fewer than 500,000 times in my life because it's one of my favorite. It just takes me somewhere. Because goddamn, that man is brilliant. Like he's just genius.
It's funny. Like again, once you start watching it, once you see it, I'm sure you'll pick up on some stories that I didn't even pick up on. But it was really good. I had once at the gym, I was working out, and my earbuds or my headset fell out of it was connected to my phone, and it was playing Careless Whisper at the time. So everybody that was near me got to hear the fact that I was listening to Careless Whisper while I was lifting.
I mean, there are definitely times that I find myself, like, you know how you judge somebody else who's singing at the gym or like whatever, and then you realize you're doing it. Like you look around and people
You're that guy.
People are looking at you and you're like, oh, right. Yeah. My bad. my bad on that one. So
I like that song.
There's a Kid Cudi song from this year. I think it's called Blue Sky. And I actually think they put it in because you like Shrinking. I think it's in the trailer for this season of Shrinking.
Okay.
It's so good. It's such a good song. And I don't even know the words. That's the thing, right? Like you realize you're singing, but you don't know the words to the song that you're singing. You're just feeling it.
You know the last word of every sentence.
100%. And then you're doing it at the gym where nobody can hear the song that's being played. And all they're hearing is like, blue sky. Like, God, how much they must be judging you for what it is that you're doing in that moment.
It is funny. My cousin was in the car with me once, and we were listening to some hip hop, and he's trying to rap this song, and he's like, "Oh, this is my song," and it's like, hair, there, where, and I'm going, you know the last word to every line. That's all you know. You don't know the lyrics.
My wife does the bit. Rita and I were talking about this last week. My wife does the bit where she confidently sings the wrong lyrics. Like she has created new lyrics, and she sings them confidently. And the one that I use to tell the story frequently is she is convinced that Sir Mix-a-Lot is looking for a specific white thing in his face, not a round thing in his face.
Really?
Yes, she's very convinced of that. And
go ahead, I'm sorry.
And she does it like she doesn't stumble through it or do the bit that like the rest of us do when we're not really sure about the words. She just belts out the wrong lyrics constantly in the car. Like constantly. To the point where she has so much confidence in it that I don't even really want to correct her. Like, I just sort of want to, be like, you know what? Live in a world where you believe that Sir Mix-a-Lot is specifically looking for a white woman's butt. Like, live in that world and feel good about that, sweet.
It's just, I'm not even sure how many white women were in the video.
I don't believe Rita and I were discussing that last week. I believe the answer is none,
Well, it's funny that you bring this up, and I don't know how much I can say, but, I take songs, whenever I'm in the car with my wife, and this is something I've done my whole life, it's almost like being Weird Al. I take songs that are on the radio and I change the lyrics all the time to something completely perverted. I'm just the main one was a Sheryl Crow song called "Soak Up the Sun."
Yes, I remember.
I'll just let you know the first word is "suck" for me. So.
Suck. Yeah, I think I could figure it out.
And it's your son.
Look, all right.
My wife gets so mad when I sing that song loudly in the car and I change the lyrics. And I'm actually, look, I'm not one of these guys that I couldn't go to some, battle rap or something coming up with lyrics or anything like that. But on the fly, I'm pretty good at putting some of these songs together and making it very perverted.
I definitely, all of us that worked in radio had those days. We're like, that's what we were going to. I think I had Matt Stover on recently, and I was reminded of Kirk and Mark doing the "It's Not Over" for the Chris Daughtry song and making it "I'm Matt Stover" and how popular that was in this town. And there was an era of radio where that's what radio was. That's just Rouse and Company did it all the time. And
it's probably why I do it so much, because I grew up on Rouse and Company, and it's the same thing. I brought up Weird Al. I had a weird fascination with him. I watched UHF.
Yeah.
I watched every video he put out. I thought it was just incredible. By the way, if you haven't seen his movie, it's so awesome.
Oh, the Daniel
Radcliffe
Radcliffe
they treat
one.
it like it's not a real biopic,
right,
so.
Right.
Everything's made up. Weird Al's a rocket scientist in his spare time and whatever,
Yeah, I was actually pissed at how much sports there were going on this week, because I did not get to watch that. I didn't get to watch the Beatles documentary that everybody loved. I did watch. So I don't know if you know, we're doing book club with the afternoon show where we watch crime documentaries, and then
cool.
we break them down like we had read a book, because Lord knows we're not going to read any books. And so I did watch last week the John Bonet doc on Netflix.
Did you like it?
Bro, I spent 3 hours with it, and I actually feel like I have less confidence in what might have happened. It's infuriating, because every couple of minutes you're like, oh, all right, obviously it was, I don't want to give anything, Like, for a moment, you're like, oh, obviously it was the mom. What the hell? Of course it was the mom. And then 5 minutes later, you're like, well, no, it can't be the mom because the DNA. Like, it can't be. My God, it's infuriating because of that.
That's another thing I do with my wife at the beginning of each movie where we know somebody dies and we don't know who the killer is. I pick everyone in the movie, so that way at the end of the movie I'm right.
One of them was
so
correct.
I told you it was going to be him.
Yeah, 100%.
But no, man, like all the things you're talking about, I'm the same way with there's some of the best TV shows I haven't sat down and powered through it. And I think part of my problem is that as soon as I get home, I'm popping my edibles and I'm getting in my spaceship, and I don't pay as much attention to those shows. And I want to pay all, like, I've never seen Succession. I haven't watched Breaking or A Better Call Saul. I haven't. Somebody was telling me I got to see the show Gomorrah.
What's
It's
Gomorrah?
an Italian show.
What is Gomorrah?
Yeah. Said it was one of the best shows ever put on TV. It's got like a 9 rating on IMDb.
The hell is it?
It's an Italian like crime thing, like families going back and forth. It's Yellowstone, but in Italy.
Okay.
I think.
All right.
I don't know.
All right. I did a recent. I needed a palate cleanser because I gave up on Industry. I couldn't anymore. And I don't do that. You know, I don't ever quit on it.
The first time?
It's probably the first time I've ever given up on it. And I'm not saying I'll never revisit it, but there's just nothing there. So I needed a palate cleanser. I had never done a start to finish rewatch of Eastbound and Down, so I did that. Like that, yeah. And that was the.
Did it hold up?
Oh, I mean, like in the way that it works because the stuff that you couldn't get away with now, it's okay because we're telling you he's not a good person. Like that's it's the subtlety. We talked about this, I think you and I after Shane Gillis hosted SNL, right? Like and everybody's like, "Oh my God, he used the R word." But he used it in a way that made it clear that he was saying the person who said the word was wrong. Like you can still present these things and make it clear. If you're trying to make it seem like it's cool that somebody's doing that type of stuff, then it's a problem. But it was obvious. So the stuff that we would be like, oh, that's distasteful. Yes, that's the idea. Like, the concept is that's distasteful. That's the character.
Let me pose a serious question to you. Is Stevie Janowski a top 5 character?
Oh, Stevie's so great, man. Stevie's so
When he's sitting in Mexico in that jail and he's got Montezuma's revenge, I die every time. Or when he's looking at the stripper.
Right.
It's just, geez, I can see right through you.
So great. By the way, I'm definitely at some point in my life going to do a Golden Girls rewatch because this is going to sound insane. We did a Friendsgiving on Saturday night, and we watched the episode of Golden Girls where she was dating a Jewish doctor who was a little person, and I swear to God, it's one of the funniest episodes of television that's ever been made. Like
now you're going to make me rewatch it,
dude,
and that means I'm going to have to rewatch Empty Nest as well.
I'm not opposed to that. Go rewatch season 1, episode 13 of Golden Girls might be the best television episode of all time. Like the number of I don't even want to give away the number of shrimp jokes they make, the irreverent things that these women would say in this. God, Golden Girls was so good. It's so
what people don't realize is all 4 of those women were incredibly talented and funny. Like, you know, with what Estelle being the youngest one of the 4, but being the oldest on the show.
Playing the mom 100%. God, they were brilliant. All right, what do you do about Justin Tucker? What's the answer?
Oh, we're gonna talk sports. This sucks, man.
I
actually like when we get on and we talk about anything but sports.
Can we talk about this because Evan Washburn brought this up to me after the Steelers game. He said, "Isn't it better for radio when the team loses?" And I said, I think that's such a misnomer that like people outside the industry think that's the case.
You get more callers. I wouldn't say it's better. Like the thing that we say every year, like when they were playing 16 games, it was like go 11-5, lose 2 games you shouldn't lose, and then you get 3 other ones. You're going to be in the playoffs. So it's kind of that perfect season where people get enough to complain about. This season, I mean, I've said it numerous times, and again, maybe it's just because I'm not having fun betting on it. The NFL, like, if you watched yesterday's Atlanta game, if you bet the Chargers, you were on the wrong side the entire time, and then you end up winning and covering. One of the weirdest games you could ever see, with the little bit that the Chargers actually did, and they win the freaking game.
Right.
Just unreal. And then the same thing applies to me with the Ravens game.
Yep. I'm with you. I don't think, as I said to Evan, I think the content can be good, I think that less people are engaged. Like, and I mean that. Yeah. This week, and I say this as a human, if I didn't do this for a living, I wouldn't want to keep hearing about the Ravens lost to the Eagles for 2 weeks. Like, I wouldn't. I joked about it on Twitter. I'm like, God damn, we could use the Orioles signing somebody. Like, what I wouldn't give.
I just said that this morning because it's 2 weeks of talking about this Ravens loss now with the bye week.
Like, I'm so desperate for Max Fried. Like, I have never been like. And seeing, by the way, what pitchers are getting in the market, you're going to have to pay $70 million to get Max Fried per season because Frankie Montas is getting, what did he get, 2 and 34 or something like that? Christ.
Where did he go? Did he
Frankie Montas. I got to make sure I have
It wasn't
this.
the Mets, was it? No. Were they brought back Nile? Was that?
No, I think it might have been
I saw
Mets.
it come across the wire today, but like I didn't fully read it. We were
Frankie
just entrenched
Montas,
with
2 years, 34 million with the Mets for Frankie Montas.
He can't pitch in New York, man.
And
that cat went to the Yankees and just folded.
What was the contract that Matt Boyd got this morning? Matt Boyd got 2 years, $29 million from the Cubs. Like,
I mean, look, there's nothing wrong with kicking tires on Matt Boyd after what you saw last year.
Well, and that's the thing. Like a year ago, in hindsight, you wish they would have done that type of thing with Seth Lugo. Obviously, like that ended up being the move of the offseason last year. I'm not opposed to. Like, I think the Orioles need a top of the rotation guy and to do something like this as well, right?
I wonder if they're trading for a top of the rotation guy.
That's the answer. If ultimately it's Garrett Crochet, I'm good with it, right? Like I am. Like you're not going to use all these prospects. I'm fine with it. But goddamn, I could just really use them doing something.
Well,
something.
It's funny that you're mentioning this because it's the same thing I said this morning to the guys when we got off the air. I was like, Orioles, please sign somebody so we don't have to talk about this loss for 2 straight weeks. But like when you start looking at things and talking about like, radio and what we want to put out there when you brought up the wins and losses thing, I think you can make anything entertaining, but we all know when you're just like, if we were doing radio in New York for the Giants this year, we want to hang ourselves. Like that's probably a poor thing to say, but like the fact is it's not fun. And I remember doing this for 15 years, I should say 12 years with the Orioles of like, there's no end in sight. There's not light at the end of this tunnel. And then there was, but it just took a long time to get there.
I would add to it that at least in some of those markets, they're having quarterback conversations. They're having coach. It's not fun, but it can be compelling. Like in those moments, it's who do you want to have be the coach of the team next year, and that is compelling, interesting. Yes, they're not really talking about the wins and losses anymore, and that's kind of we couldn't certainly in those years we were not getting on the air every morning and talking about the Orioles losing 17-4 to the Mariners the night before, right? Like you just got to a point where you're not going to talk about every game because what the hell would you possibly talk about? But like in some of those markets they have the conversation. Uniquely in this market, what we have to talk about is the results. The most recent results is what we have to talk about for 2 weeks. And I get it. We'd rather still be talking about an 8-5 team than a 4-9 team, but still.
I guess, when you brought it up, too, like about the NFL, my fandom, I can't tell you the last Saturday or Sunday that I've missed or turned off games before this season. Like, I'm not watching this. And I don't mean Ravens games. I obviously watch all those in full, but I'm one of those weirdos that tries to watch everything. And I watch things sped up on YouTube where you can kind of get games in and know what's going on. A lot of times back in the day, you could go to like Sports Center and try to watch the highlights, but some of that stuff's gimmicky now where you're not seeing all the stuff you need to see. You're just seeing the main teams. But I said it to the guys with tonight. It's the Broncos and Browns. Broncos have something to play for. I love watching Jameis Winston. I have no interest in watching this game whatsoever. And I said to them, I said, look, me being that guy that doesn't like to miss anything and saying that I'm going to find something else to watch tonight. I'll watch that game in the morning sped up. I'm like, when did this happen? I said, was it because we moved to mornings or, I came to mornings and I'm like, man, I'm getting tired at 8 and I don't want to stay up and watch it because if it was a good game, I would stay up.
Yeah, I'm still not there. Like I get what you're saying. I'm absolutely still not there. We only get so many of these and it's the best thing we have in this country. I'm not excited about Browns Broncos. I think it's an awful Monday night game considering what some of the options were this week. Like I can't believe that now that we're allowed to flex out that they left this as the Monday night game. That's crazy to me. But it's still football, and there are still like fantasy implications, and I'm still gonna watch. Like,
and you can bet on it.
Yep, 100%. All right, now quickly, Tucker, where are you?
Well, so here's where I'm at. And I know people say this all the time, there's nothing better out there. There really isn't. And with a guy that has this type of track record, I think I'm just going to give him every chance this year to show me he doesn't have it. And, I mean, I'm getting there where, like, I think I'm way further behind everyone else. Like, I didn't like people booing him at the stadium yesterday. You're entitled, you pay your ticket, whatever. You can boo. I just don't know that does any good in this moment. We had an in-depth conversation this morning wondering, all right, a lot of times when this stuff happens, is he playing through an injury?
Right.
Or is there something going on in his personal life?
Yeah.
You know, and I don't want to speculate. I don't want people to start thinking, but like, you don't see the greatest kicker of all time become the worst kicker in the league overnight. That's kind of weird.
I agree. We just had Jay Feely on, and Jay did remind me that the guy that we all think currently is the greatest kicker in the NFL is Chris Boswell. Chris Boswell 2 seasons ago kicked at 71%, which is Justin Tucker right now, right? Like that. The only thing, there's 2 things I'm uncomfortable with. I'm uncomfortable with anyone who says Justin Tucker's washed. Like, there's just he's still physically capable of kicking the ball this distance. He's 35 years old. He's not 40, right? Like, there's no reason.
We've seen plenty of good kickers go into their 40s, too.
100%. And we have a lot of evidence of guys that have really brutal stretches that do figure it out. Like Chris Boswell, who was, again, one of the worst kickers in football 2 seasons ago, and now can't miss a kick in maybe the most difficult place to kick.
We had somebody call this morning and say they don't think he can get it done beyond 50 anymore. And, like, it's something I never got to say in my life is I'm not worried about length. I mean, he's kicking the hell out of the ball, you know, like,
it's just
the accuracy. And then even then, like, he's been the guy that's always had a little bit of that draw on the kick. A lot of them do it, depending on which hash you're kicking from. And it almost seems like it's not drawing the way he wants. Sometimes it's going the opposite way because he's not missing by a lot, which I don't know if that matters to people. But I'm going to give it, like, I love the fact that I'm harder on Harbaugh probably than anybody in this town. I love the fact that he went over and gave him a hug after he missed the second one. I don't know if he hugged him after the third one.
Right. Said, I'm out of hugs. I'm out of hugs. Yeah,
you get one, buddy.
You kicked him in the nuts after that.
It does suck, though, right? Like, I mean, you being a Ravens fan, I've seen so many people bashing him, saying get rid of him. This is the one thing I do hate about Baltimore, and I don't think it's just Baltimore, is that when some guy is not performing the way you want or he's going to leave town and go to another team, everybody just trashes their ass. And I don't get that.
It is interesting, too, right? Because, like, it's not – I don't know how we choose who we do that with. And like, the idea that anyone in this town would have any animosity towards Manny Machado, for example, is bat-ass to me. Like, it's insanity that anyone in this town would have animosity towards Manny Machado. Like, dude, what are you mad at? That he was the best baseball player any of us got to see in this century? Like, that, and then they didn't want to pay him? Like, what are you mad at? Like, where's the anger?
Like, even going back as a kid, I was so mad at Mike Messina, and now looking at it.
Oh, that one legitimately pisses me off, the way that people treat Mike Messina. And actually, it pisses me off that the Orioles won't, give him his due as one of their Hall of Famers. Like, dude, he's one of the greatest.
It's like someone says, "Hey, if you go this route, I'll give you $40. If you go this route, I'll give you $80." And somebody's like, "Well, let's see what's going on with this $40."
And by the way, he did that once. He did that. Yeah. He took less money to stay in Baltimore. Got ridiculed by the Players Association for it. They hated him for what he did because he so badly wanted to stay in Baltimore to the point where he couldn't do it again. But he actually did the thing that no one would do. No one in baseball would ever do what Mike Messina did, but he did that to stay in Baltimore, only for a significant point of the fan base to say, screw him. Like,
yeah, but that's kind of my point, though. Like, look, I'm fine when you sign with the Yankees rooting against that guy.
Yes, of course.
Like, and saying, hey, I don't want to see him win a game.
Obviously.
But, like, the animosity that people have, like, he's retired.
Yes, as soon as his career is over, God bless you. Thank you for everything that you did while you were in this city. You were the greatest pitcher of a generation here. Like, my God, man. Like,
yeah, I don't know. Like, even watching players from your team, like, let's say the Orioles trade Cedric Mullins to somebody else this off season or whatever, And as much as everybody loved him, they'd be trashing him. Oh,
See,
he didn't hit. Remember when he couldn't hit?
Yeah,
It's
I don't know if that'll be like. I think it's interesting the way that works, right? Because I don't think anybody did that with Adam Jones after Adam Jones left Baltimore. I think there are some guys, and I know that.
Like
that's
Adam Jones is at the end of his career, and you like outside of you tugging on the heartstrings, it's like. Yeah, go somewhere else and see if you can win. Like, you almost wanted it for him.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, a lot of us were like, dude, why wouldn't you just let them trade you so you can go win a World Series?
Yeah, what was it, the Phillies?
Yeah, it was the Phillies. This is exactly who it was. Man. And he was just like, nah, I'm good. All right. What's coming up this week?
I will be obviously going over this horrific loss and kind of trying to put these pieces together, listen to people complain about Tucker and everything and the like. This is still a team that's going to be in the playoffs, and I still think they have a good chance to make a run. They just have a lot of weird things happen in games that is hard to explain. So we'll be talking about that a lot, and hopefully we'll be talking about an Orioles signing. Maybe we speak it into existence.
That'd be great. That would be so great. At JCon Sports and ConcreteLocks.com with 2 N's, ConcreteLocks.com. Love you, buddy. Appreciate you. We'll talk next Monday.
I'll see you guys.
It's Jeremy Conn with us here on GCR. When we come back in, we'll get Tidbit, we'll get Tubular, and we will draw our raffle winners. That's all on the way. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
The top high school basketball talent from across the country returns to the Wycomico Civic Center December 26th through 30th for the Governor's Challenge presented by Pohanka of Salisbury. Witness 5 full days of elite competition featuring over 140 high school basketball teams from 16 states plus Canada. Multiple top 10 teams and nationally ranked players will display their talents on the court. Don't miss the best experience in high school hoops. For tickets and info, visit govchallenge.org.
Hey Baltimore, it's number 10, Arthur Millette, and I'm hoping you'll slot us in all season long for the Arthur Millette Show. We will be traveling around the region all season, giving you the chance to get to know me and my teammates. There will be some football talk and a lot more. You can watch this show live on Pressbox's Facebook and YouTube pages and listen every Friday night on 105.7 The Fan. Find out more at PressBoxOnline.com/Millette. The Arthur Millette Show, the only show in town that's a work of art.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin, and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. There, you just saved money with Easy Pass, all without slowing or receiving a notice in the mail. Well done, thrifty driver, well done. Get your Easy Pass at DriveEasyMD.com.
Visit Harford County this holiday season for a brand new event. You'll feel like you stepped into a holiday movie. Harford Holidays is overflowing with the spirit of the holiday season. You'll be amazed by the jaw-dropping light displays, thrilled by a visit to Santa's workshop, and have the holiday time of your life with sleigh rides, a special vendor village, s'mores making stations, and so much more. It's a holiday light experience, new at Ripken Stadium, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, December 6th through December 22nd. For ticket information, head to visitharford.com. You'll have the happiest holiday season ever.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
All right, back here on GCR as we are winding down for a Monday edition of the program. I think Stan's going to be back in action this week. I don't know the entire plan and the entire details, but he was supposed to be getting back to action this week. And hopefully we'll also have some details for you this week about the next Arthur Millette show. I've had people ask. We're working on it. Obviously, Arthur getting hurt was a real bummer for everything. It's just the way that it goes. Hopefully after the bye, he'll be back as well. You would like to hope that's the case, or else why wasn't he put on IR? But hopefully that's the case, and then we can kind of get back into the swing of things a little bit. So we're working on all that stuff and should have details for you here in the next couple of days, but that's what's going on. All right. How about we get a tidbit?
The top high school basketball talent from across the country once again returns to the Wycomico Civic Center December 26th through the 30th for the Governor's Challenge, presented by Pohanka and Salisbury. Witness 5 full days of elite competition featuring over 140 high school basketball teams from 16 states plus Canada. Multiple top 10 teams and nationally ranked players will display their talents on the court. Don't miss the best experience in high school hoops. For tickets and information, visit govchallenge.org.
What you got for tidbits?
Let's go with for first one I have. It'll come from Patrick Stevens as he points.
I know him.
You do know him?
Yeah.
He points out that Ohio State now has dropped multiple games in 4 consecutive seasons for the first time since
the 80s.
Yeah, for the first time since Glenn Clark was born, 1980 to 82. That was the last time that they won 4 straight. Or was it 83 then?
If it was 4 straight, it seems like it would have to be.
Yeah. Okay, but multiple. 4 seasons. Okay.
4 consecutive seasons with multiple losses.
Correct.
Does that include bowl games?
Although
for a stretch in there, like when John Cooper was coach, they would lose to Michigan and then play in like the Citrus Bowl and beat whoever's brains in and beat a second-rate SEC team.
388 NFL games this year. Just kind of a stat about how just bad the football's been. 388 NFL games so far this year. 307 have been decided by 8 points or less.
Why does that make it that the football's bad?
I was just kidding.
I'm like, what?
I was being
Okay.
sarcastic.
You're trying to get me going here. 12-20.
So just slightly under 80% of games have been decided by 1 score.
But remember, the football sucks.
Yeah.
Jeremy's kind of like leaning into that bit the last couple times we talked. He's like, I'm not going to watch tonight. I'm like, what? Why?
It's Big Jerry Judy revenge game night.
Well, I don't care about that. It's because I don't have him. I have in one.
Well, you don't. You can. He'll be on everyone's fantasy team whenever
The
has anytime touchdown.
only league where there's even
no Cedric Tillman. So
I would need tonight to beat Proctor in the press box league. I would need Nick Chubb to outscore Bo Nix by 9 points. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think Proctor is comfortable in that one, but it's just enough that I'll have a vested interest when I tune in.
Hope you guys are all looking out though, because someone's coming in the press box.
In the press box league, are you?
I started like 1-6 or something. I don't know. I've won 5. I'm about to win 6 in a row though. So
I'm back to the drawing board in the league. It's funny this week. The 2 leagues that I needed to get wins in, I'm gonna get wins. Right, like 2 leagues where I hadn't locked up my playoff spot yet, I'm gonna get wins. The 2 leagues where I'm near the top of the league, it looks like I'm gonna lose in both of those leagues. In the one that I've been in, also with Proctor for like 20 years now, which is the one that I guess I care about the most because of that, although there's more money at stake in other leagues, but it's the status of it all.
Right, yeah.
I had finally solved my tight end problem with Taysom Hill.
Well, I mean, he is Superman, so maybe.
No.
Maybe.
No.
He won't be.
You guys got any ideas? Please feel free to pass them along to me because
looks like I'll be 4-0 this week, as long as Cortland Sutton doesn't score 30 tonight.
He's been scoring a lot of points.
Yes.
Sure.
I don't think he'll score 30.
I don't think he will, but again,
most
he's
of the
been
season's
scoring
25.
a lot of points.
Oh, it was 29 actually.
That's all.
I think I'll be okay. UConn, if anyone was watching Feast Week, UConn became the first top 5 team to go to lose to an unranked opponent on 3 consecutive days.
So did you hear what they said after? Dan Hurley said, we'll never play in a 3-game tournament again."
Well, Big East.
It was so bitter about. Yeah, it said everybody was like, "What about the tournament?" I think he said MTE, so I think he's okay there.
I love the video because
I did not read. There was a big piece from Matt Norlander about CBS Sports. Like, I do have like emotional feelings about the Maui Invitational because it's just always been part of your life. And like when I was a kid, I could get the cool teachers to wheel in the TV during Feast Week to put basketball on.
Dang.
And at like Maryland,
a lot of pool for Glenn.
I didn't even know I didn't even know what Chaminade was, but I was like, Maryland's playing Shahjaman today. There's no internet.
They're playing Lemonade School today.
Yeah, there was no internet back then, so it was just whatever, I don't even know who was doing morning. Steve Davis said on the radio. It was before Steve Davis. I don't even know. Steve Stewart doing WBAL Sports would be like, today, coming up on WBAL, Maryland in their Maui tournament opener at 2 o'clock against Shama. And he'd be like, what? Shama Lama Ding Dong? Like, what the hell is that? But then you were fired up about it. You had to go find the cool teacher. Like, dude, can you put the game on?
Shamanan?
Maryland is slated to play in the Maui in 26, I think.
Okay,
is
it that actually that does sound right. I think it is 26.
It's definitely not next year.
Yeah, I think I was for half a second I was thinking it is 2025. So
Chaminade is now going back to every other year they're playing in the tournament. Like, so every odd number year they're playing in the tournament.
So
there's a big piece from Matt Norlander about how the future of the Maui is in jeopardy. Because
so we're doing the show there.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. The future of the Maui is in jeopardy because of like these basically the Maui Invitational was so prestigious that they could get away with murder. You had to pay an extraordinary amount of money to be a part of the Maui Invitational. It's apparently a loser monetarily for every team that participates in it. But it was worth it for years because it was like the only big event of the week. And like you wanted to be in it because it was a great opportunity to, get TV games and get good competition and reward the players. It was worth it. Now, like, 2 of the schools that were supposed to be in next year were Baylor and Oregon. They both bought out to go participate in the Players Era Festival because you're making millions of dollars participating in the Players Era Festival. Now, there's like a lot of interesting stuff in this piece from Matt Norlander. Like, is that sustainable? Is there really that much interest in that tournament that they'll be able to continue paying out that amount of money for teams to participate? But like 2 teams have already said we're not going back to Maui. Now, like Dan Hurley says, I'm not doing this anymore. We're not doing 3 games in 3 days. We're never doing that again. And it's leaving some questions about the future of the Maui Invitational, which would suck, man, because the Maui Invitational rules. And you get great games, and you get, like, for 3 days, you're getting nothing but great games. I would hate that. So, yeah, let's go. Let's make the plans.
I guess I still didn't finish up the UConn one. They 3 straight losses against an unranked opponent. Last time in 3 straight days as well. Last time that a top 5 team had done that was the 1986 season, when it was reigning champion.
86?
Yeah.
Georgetown?
Not
no,
Georgetown.
That's 86. I
was about to say they're a current ACC school. I don't know. I guess were they Big East? I don't know what the 86 conferences will look like.
Current Big
ACC.
Current ACC that was the reigning national champion. Oh, Louisville.
It was.
Yeah, Louisville. Yeah.
Louisville.
They were not in the Big East.
They were in. What were they in the 86?
Still probably the Metro Atlantic.
The MAC?
Yeah, well,
was it the MAC?
I think they called it the Metro.
Okay,
is what they called it at that point.
Let's bring it back.
Yeah.
They did at the Great Alaska Shootout. They opened the season.
Of course, the most famous thing about the Great Alaska Shootout is Sarah Palin sleeping with Glenn Rice. That's a straight shoot.
Wait. That was
straight shoot.
At the 86 one? Or
I don't know if it was at 86. Straight shoot. Well, it's well documented.
Wow. All right. Well,
Yeah.
I'm glad we got that one in. That also at Maui, Janai Broom recorded 65 points, had 45 rebounds, 13 assists, 9 blocks. The last player to have that stat line over a 3-day span, last player in college basketball or NBA to have 60, 40, 10 assists, and 5 or more blocks over the course of 3 days was the 2001 NBA Finals.
2001 NBA Finals. So that would have been Allen Iverson?
Not Allen Iverson. Other team.
Kobe.
Not Kobe.
Shaq.
Shaq.
Oh,
yeah.
Right. Blocks. What am I doing?
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I mean,
my fault.
you know,
My
who knows?
fault.
I mean, it was
It's
only
on
5
me.
blocks.
No,
It
no,
could have
it's-
been.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, could have gotten lucky. But yeah, Janai Broom and Shaq, the only two to do that in the
How
last
about that?
25 years.
Two guys that you always use in the same sentence.
Exactly. Well, I mean, Janai Broom, maybe. Who knows?
I
I
don't
don't know. Bobby Wagner has recorded yet another season with 100-plus tackles, 13 consecutive seasons with 100 tackles for Bobby Wagner. Only other player to have 13 straight seasons of 100 tackles.
Ray Lewis?
Not Ray Lewis.
Brian Urlacher?
Not Brian Urlacher.
Junior Seau?
Not Junior Seau.
Mike Singletary?
No.
Dick Butkus?
Not Dick Butkus.
God. It's not Patrick Willis, obviously, because he didn't play 10. I don't think Luke Kuechly played that long, so it's not him. Navarro Bowman?
No, not Navarro Bowman.
Is it modern? Is it?
Yeah, he's pretty modern.
Pretty modern.
Known for his time as
LeVar Arrington?
No. First name just starts with an L.
London Fletcher.
London Fletcher, Bobby Wagner. 100-plus tackles.
There is more
13.
of it's been documented there's more of a Hall of Fame case for London Fletcher than has ever been presented. It's just that, he was never the guy that anybody was, terrified of, but he was a very consistent, very solid player for a long time.
College Football Hall of Famer. Yeah. And then I think I got all the other ones. Yeah, so Josh Allen doing his are we counting that as a receiving touchdown?
Apparently it goes down as a receiving touchdown, which is stupid.
Which it does.
It's stupid.
So he becomes the 5th player in the last 55 years to throw a touchdown, rush for a touchdown, and a receiving touchdown as well.
Right.
He's the first quarterback to do it as well.
Who are the others?
Yes, 4 others. Since
it would seem like Mohamed Sanu would have a good chance of this.
Mohamed Sanu, so there are 3 running backs. There is 1 wide receiver.
This requires me to remember any of these things. 3 running backs, you say?
Mm-hmm.
LaDainian Tomlinson.
LT.
Okay.
In 2005.
Cool.
Had a game with we threw a touchdown, caught a receiving touchdown. Believe it or not, LaDainian Tomlinson rushed a touchdown in as well.
Huh.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? How about Marshall Faulk?
No Marshall Faulk.
I got to start with guys who are likely to have caught, but it's just 1 touchdown. So the problem is you need to know who guys are that have thrown for a touchdown, and I don't. And we can't do this all day, so you're gonna have to.
All right. He was. All right. I mean, I guess he was featured in the game last night as well, briefly.
Oh, Christian McCaffrey.
Christian McCaffrey in 2022.
That's a bummer.
Yeah. Was that his 49ers debut? The game that he did this in? It was.
Was
October 30th.
trade, yeah.
It was October 30th.
Maybe
against the Rams.
Maybe.
I don't remember. McCaffrey was most recent. LT in 05. This wide receiver in 01.
For who?
He was at the time a New England Patriot.
Troy Brown.
Not Troy Brown.
Deion Branch? No, that's before Deion Branch, right? Terry Glenn?
Not Terry Glenn. 2 seasons with Washington, 05 and 06. 2 seasons with the Saints. And unfortunately, he passed away at age 47 in 2021.
I don't know.
David Patton.
Oh, David Patton. Okay, yeah.
David Patton had it in 2001.
Okay.
Did this feat, and then
I didn't know he passed away. That's very sad.
And then in 1979, running back.
Walter Payton.
Walter
Really? Okay.
Payton.
All right.
There you go.
All
There
right.
you go. There you go. You know your 79 running back.
Sure. There you go. Now let's get tubular.
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
All right, here's what's coming up tonight, totally tubular-wise. As obviously we mentioned, Broncos-Browns, the thriller of thrillers to wrap up Week 13. I don't know. It's just something that isn't the Ravens losing, so we got that. Actually, sorry, it's in Denver. I should have said Browns-Broncos, 8:15. I guess just on ESPN tonight. No
no
Manningcast,
ABC,
no simulcast, no
there was
Fox, or no Simpsons, anything like that.
That's because it's the Celebrity Wheel of Fortune holiday special.
Well, you can't miss that.
With
Yeah,
Chance the Rapper and Lil Jon on ABC.
I've been wondering when we were finally going to get around to that. Fox Sports 1 at UMBC Georgetown tonight at 6:30, so there'll be a little national TV action there. Loyola's at Coppin tonight at 7 on ESPN+, NBA TV, Lakers, T-Wolves at 8, NHL Network, Devils, Rangers at 7, USA for WWE Monday Night Raw at 8. Non-sports,
let's see, what else? Jamie Lee Curtis will be on Kimmel. Lin-Manuel Miranda will be on Fallon. It's the TMZ's Merry Elfin Christmas.
And I believe Lin-Manuel Miranda is plugging Merry Elfin Christmas,
I think you're right.
correct?
I think
Isn't
you're
that
right.
why he's on?
That, and I think Moana 2 as well.
Probably shouldn't.
Probably shouldn't.
I don't know if it's any good. My kids saw it on Saturday.
I wanted to see
I think they liked it.
So my sister hadn't seen Gladiator 2 yet. I had already seen it, so we went.
Oh, you went and saw it again?
Yeah, I went to see Gladiator twice.
Out here, Griffin's out here going to movies twice. I'm smoking multiple turkeys. That's just living different lives.
I guess so.
And then going to Friendsgiving and watching Golden Girls.
I don't know.
It was
we both
great.
have our positives.
It was great.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was so great.
It is the 15th today. It's already available on Peacock. The 15,000th episode. I want to make sure I had my zeros right of Days of Our Lives.
Oh, how about that?
Today.
How about
today?
If you say so.
And then Skeleton Crew, the Star Wars series with the kids on Disney Plus. Looks solid. Jude Law.
If you say this one's not gonna be for me, dog.
We'll see. Maybe I can twist your arm.
Don't think so. All right. It was also brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel.
That is correct, and that is the place to be on Sundays or whenever there is a home game for Baltimore or Washington this season, because you get $7 in free slot play. You have to have your live rewards card inserted in the slot machine and be actively playing to get your prize. But once those touchdowns, score $7 in free slot play. Ron Mills must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLE.
Griffin, if you would, I just emailed you a link. I'd like for you to pull it up so that it can be on the screen, so that as we do this, it can be totally on the up and up. We do it live on the show. As I mentioned earlier on, I am extraordinarily appreciative. All of you filled our charity raffle to benefit Helping Up mission. That's $2,500. Combined with the $150 we raised for the NBA Cup pool, we're already at $2,650, and my goal is to get to $3,000 using the Charity Bowl Pick'em contest to get there as well. So I'm beyond grateful. I don't even have the words. This will all go to providing toiletries and underwear for the most vulnerable people in our community who are trying to pick up their lives and get things back together at the Helping Up mission downtown. We are extraordinarily grateful that you all, again, over the span of a holiday weekend, when you had lots of other things going on, you got into this raffle. We have an amazing set of prizes, the greatest set of prizes. We have 15 total prizes. We're actually going to pull 20 winners, just in case somebody only wanted a certain prize. We might get through all 20 and then still have to pull more numbers. I don't know where we'll be, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to randomly pull 20 of them, and then we will contact all of you. That's why I asked for all of you to email me after you got in and let you know what is available, and we'll go one by one, and we'll pick off who wants what prizes. Obviously, the prizes include these personal items, autographed from Cal Ripken Jr.'s collection, including a 2131 game ball, as well as an Orioles hat signed by Cal Ripken Jr. Thank you to Cal and to our friend John Maroon. These autographed pucks from the Washington Capitals. Tom Wilson, who I hear had a huge game on Friday. TJ Oshie and Alex Ovechkin. I think you're familiar with his work. An autographed Zay Flowers photo, courtesy of the Ed Block Courage Awards. So, of course, doing the Hala Zay party on December 9th. FOCO provided us these 2 Cedric Mullins Great Catch handcrafted, hand-painted bobbleheads. We also have a prize pack from the Washington Capitals. It includes 2 50th anniversary replica jerseys. We have 2 pairs of passes for Grade 8 memorabilia's Rollin' with Santa bowling party on Sunday, December 22nd. We got a pair of tickets to see Clutch at Rams Head Live this Friday night. We got a pair of tickets to see Teddy Swims at the Anthem on June 2nd. I can't get away from that song, by the way. That song is everywhere right now. It's a good song, but I just can't get away from it. We've got a free night at The Graduate by Hilton Annapolis. We're throwing in, on top of that hotel stay, a $100 gift card that you can use at Ruth's Chris in Annapolis, make it a whole weekend, and includes parking and $25 for the Poindexter Coffee Shop or the Trophy Room Restaurant inside The Graduate at by Hilton in Annapolis. Thank you to Brian Powell for making that possible. And courtesy of John Colson and the crew at Pressbox, we also have a $100 gift card to the Gourmet at Kenilworth. So that's 15 prizes that we have. We've never had this much. So thank you to everyone who got in. Thank you to FOCO. Thank you to it was just an unbelievable response. And so now we got to do the drawing. And in some years we've done like the thing with paper, but then like what happens if one balled up piece of paper has a different shape than another one does? What happens if, one just happened? We're just not doing that anymore. Everything's going to be completely even. 100 spots filled up. Some people have got multiple spots, so we might have the same person win multiple prizes. I don't know that anybody got more than 4 this year. We've had in the past people get like 10. This year, it's such a response. I don't think anybody got any more than 4. But somebody could still win 4 prizes. So if that's the way it works, that's the way it works. We did not say you could only win 1. You improve your chances. Each entry that you bought had a 15 in 100 chance of being in a winner. So, Griffin, you've got the random number generator up on the screen, correct?
That is correct. We do. Everyone can see it.
It's set for 1 to 100.
It is.
Okay. So, we're going to do this 20 times, and I'm not going to be able to see it, so Griffin could be lying, but we have documented proof.
Be an interesting choice if I decided.
Griffin personally did not get in, so he can't rig it. His brother did get in. But I am to understand this is unriggable. And I did not get in, so if you all would like me to click the first one, I can do that.
If you want to come around.
It's not necessary. Right. It's not necessary. So, first grand prize winner in this year's charity raffle to benefit the Helping Up mission is
62.
Number 62. Congratulations to Josh Sroka, our buddy from Section 336. Now with the Mike O'Mara show. And just overall, Birdland Sports, obviously, overall great
See what happens
guy.
when you get in people, you just get free plugs as well.
I'm always willing to do that. Josh Sroka, congratulations. You are the first winner. All right, number 2.
All right, let's go roll it again. Ooh, number 84.
84, the second winner. This is Kai Dambach is our winner, who I believe lives overseas. So I don't know how this is going to go.
Congratulations,
but
Kai.
We will see what we can do about that. Kai is our second winner. Congratulations, Kai.
Rolling again. 26.
26 is the third winner. 26 is, she's always, this is Miss Wanda. This is Rita's mom. Rita's mom is our third winner. And I swear to God, I feel like she wins everything. I don't know how to explain it. She won something.
She's got that Chiefs magic on her side.
I think she won. When we did, I think we did a giveaway at the Gourmet at Kenilworth that she won. She definitely won something at Tyus Bowser's event last year. She's a winner always.
One pays to show up, yeah.
Third winner, Miss Wanda, Rita's mom. Fourth winner.
Rolling, and we got number 5.
Number 5 is Susan Gillette. Susan got in. I think she had 4 tickets as well. So congratulations, Susan. I do know that Susan tends to just say, oh, give it to somebody else, but we'll see. Maybe there's something that she particularly wants on this list. Number 5.
22. Next number.
Number 22, Jim Palmer. That's my buddy Will Steele. Will Steele. British Will.
And I thought for a second, I thought Jim Palmer got in, and then I was like, of course he picked up
the irony, right? Will Steele is our 5th winner. I think he's a Capitals fan, so he might be in for one
Jim
of the
Palmer?
players.
Will Steele, okay.
I don't know if Jim Palmer is or not. I couldn't tell you. 6th winner.
87.
87 is a winner. 87 is my cousin Becky.
Yeah, Becky.
Congratulations, Becky.
Becky
Being
Clark?
Becky Ford is
Okay.
her name. Becky Ford.
Next one, 85.
85. Ooh,
wow,
the
80s.
turned
Yeah.
out to be a fruitful place to be. 85. Winner is Cotter Vendajalad. Cotter definitely got 4 spots. And he was one of the people that Cotter has always come through for us every year. Love you, buddy. Appreciate you. You are the 7th winner. Number 8.
Number 12.
8 is number 12. Number 12 on the list is Jesse Carr. Jesse's also someone who is always, I believe, a previous winner. I think he once won a autographed Trey Mancini canvas in the charity raffle a couple years back, because I remember literally driving it to his house. I don't know why I did. I think it was just in Bel Air for something else. And I was like, don't you live in Bel Air? I'll come by.
Wow, so personal delivery.
I can't do that for everyone. I can't. I mean, I couldn't do it soon for everyone.
Well, if we got more money, maybe, then.
Yeah, right. Congratulations, Jesse. Number 9.
Number 51.
51 is the next winner. Dario DiBattista, one of my favorite people, directs the Veterans Center over at Towson University. We've partnered with him a couple times over the years for various events. Great guy. Dario DiBattista, our 9th winner. Next, number 10.
10th winner, number 46.
Number 46 is Chris Sherrar from Helping Up Mission. Is a winner. Congratulations, Chris. I also feel like he's somebody that's going to tell me give it to somebody else, but you never know. Depending on what it is, he might say he'll take it. Number 11.
11th winner, number 91.
Number 91 is Sandy Risette from Show Your Soft Side, who we always appreciate partnering up with over the years. I believe she won last year that Adafe Owe canvas that is still sitting right there. That's probably on me. That's probably not on her. I probably told her I would take it to her at one of the many events that I have done for Show Your Soft Side and just haven't. So I'll have to take 2 things to her now. No, sorry. That was 91, correct?
Yes, that was our 11th, right? So
all right.
12th winner.
12th winner.
Number 24.
24. Number 24, Ken Griffey Jr. That's Rita.
Wow.
Wouldn't you know?
Wait a minute.
That's Rita. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Rita got in. One of the first people to get in this year. Thank you. She always does. She's the best. Thank you, Rita. And congratulations. Number 13.
Number 41.
Number 41. My favorite Dave Matthews Band song. Good guy, Matt Luderman. Appreciate that. Matt got in, I think, also with 3 spots this year. Matt Luderman, guaranteed to be a winner. Next.
Number 6.
Number 6 is John in Little Rock.
Hey.
Look at that. Don't know.
JLR.
Don't know how to work out, but John in Little Rock, congratulations. I mean, I'd
drive it there yourself.
That's the way to go. I'll have to get down to Arkansas. Now, this is the last person who's guaranteed a prize if they won. There are 15 prizes, so the last person guaranteed a prize is
number 81.
Number 81. Boy, the 80s were the spot to be, weren't they? That is Megan Grice. Megan, someone who also got in with 4 spots this year and has been involved with every year that we do this. She's wonderful. Congratulations, Megan. All right, so those are guaranteed to be winners, but let's pull 5 more, maybe even 10 more. I won't do the whole thing. So give me 5 more numbers.
29.
29.
24. Did we already get 24?
24. Yeah, we did.
Okay, so that one doesn't count.
Yep.
Make sure I write it down too. 29. Then we're not counting 24. 62. Did we already get?
62 that was Josh Soroka. That was our original winner.
So that one doesn't count. 24 again.
All right, we got some questions about this number generator.
55.
55. I mean, what did they say? No matter how many times you flip a coin, it has the exact same percentage chance of landing.
1% chance each time here. 55. 64.
64. That one's good.
56.
56. Uh-huh.
Then we'll go 27.
27. Go ahead, give me 5 more, and we'll cut it at 25.
All right. And then we'll go 75. We already get 29?
Yes.
Okay. And 36?
36. 2 more.
2 more. 97?
97. That's a good one.
And 37.
37. All right, very good. We will be in touch with our winners. Congratulations to all of you, and thank you again for helping us Helping Up mission. And Brian Powell will get the bowl pick'em set up, and we will do that next. It'll be a $20 buy-in, half the pot to the winner, half the pot to Helping Up mission. The goal will be to get $350, and that way get 35 people in. That way we can raise $350, and that will make it $3,000 even that we will have to spend on toiletries and underwear for the folks at Helping Up mission. What are you laughing about over there?
PFF Sean already texted me, and he said rigged.
You think
you're the last one to get in, pal.
That's true, too. That is a good point. Although, I don't think that has any difference in the likelihood of winning. Sorry, PFF Sean. Apologies. Get in the bowl pick'em. You could. That one's a game of skill, not a game of chance. Because everybody knows who's going to win the Fenway Bowl.
Oh, yeah. I will.
Wasabi Fenway Bowl.
Boston College.
Didn't you win one of these one year?
Yeah, the first year that I was, the first year that I was in it.
Did you win the bowl pick'em?
It came down to me and PFF Sean.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Was it the bowl pick?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Very good.
Because it is a game of skill, as you said.
That's right. All right, very good. Really appreciate you.
So
and
if the people are demanding they don't want me in
also
because...
we need to cut that video so we have it in case anyone has any questions about how we did things. All right? Very good. Now, thanks today to Jay Feely. Thanks to Jeremy Conn. Thanks also to Brandon Noble. We'll get all of it up in the greatest hits section of the
Can You Take Me Higher?
tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Tomorrow, our regular Tuesday stuff, Patrick Stevens will join us. Look ahead to the first Big Ten games of the season for Maryland coming up this week, Ohio State and Purdue. We'll talk Waiver Wire Wednesday, try to find me a tight end with our buddy Joe Serpico. And
Schefter did confirm.
Yeah.
Of the year. Taysom Hill.
Anything else?
Stuff and things.
Stuff and things tomorrow on the program. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Visit Hartford, Live Casino and Hotel, the Governor's Challenge, Cruise Maryland, Crown Trophy, Easy Pass, Royal Farms, Green Turtle Sportsbooks, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, Costa Sin, MSAA, the Maryland Sports, the Baltimore Orioles, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Monday evening. Go UMBC Hoops, go Loyola or Coppin Hoops. Duke sucks.